6 o'clock, the Aviation Advisory Board of Lawrence Regional Airport and the City of Lawrence will come to order. First thing I would like to say is to anybody who is not aware, Melissa is in Iowa because of a death in her family. And we extend my personal condolences to her and her sister on the death of her brother-in-law. I appreciate your zooming in under the circumstances.
Yes.
The next item is minutes. We are going to defer the minutes from the August meeting to end this meeting to the October 15th.
That makes sense.
I would really like to wait. Is it? Ask Richard who it is. Is it Carrie?
Yeah.
Good, because I'll wait for a minute until he's here because we're going to see if we can nominate him or somebody else
Yeah.
to the North Lawrence Corridor Study.
Hey guys, this is Jim. I just wanted to say hello, and I may drop off here in about 27 minutes. I got a hard stop. I made a schedule change when things changed, so I will be here via Zoom for a few minutes, then we will all depart.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Yep.
We have a quorum, so you're good. Okay, Carrie, you just got here. We have already started. We're gonna postpone minutes from the August meeting and this special meeting to the October meeting, approval of those minutes. And I would like to accept nominations based on city resolution number 7612 about a project for the North Lawrence Comprehensive Corridor Study for the city. And by this resolution, one member from the Aviation Advisory Board is to be appointed. And I would like to take nominations at this point.
I'd like to nominate Carrie Gould.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Jake.
Here we go.
All opposed? In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nomination carries.
Thank you.
Unanimous.
I'll try to do you all correct.
Well, it is a task force, so this does not, I don't.
I think Sarah and Jake seconded.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, and Melissa, I think you're gonna give us an update on the airport in project improvements for this fall, which is a change from last meeting.
Well, first of all, thank you everybody for putting up with a little confusion, and Jim, I heartily apologize. I think people thought because I wasn't there that the meeting would be canceled, and I was contemplating it, but hadn't had a chance to talk to Clancy, so that was my bad on my end. Yeah, and I am up here in my hometown of Ames, Iowa, and my sister lost her husband this week, so I wanted to say thank you for the appointment. I believe Carrie is the one that's going to be serving on the North Lawrence Comprehensive Corridor Study. That is a huge undertaking that the city is doing, and has a task force that Carrie will represent the AAB on. So you'll probably hear from him again. So I just wanted to on that as we go forward. And then as far as our next item, it's to keep us moving along so we get to the really big item here on work session, is our update on our Apron project. And we have tonight with us Brett Holt. Brett, would you like me to go ahead and share the PowerPoint?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay. Okay, it is up there, and now I gotta move this darn little thing out of my way that's causing me fits.
Hey, Brett.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going.
Brett is from Garber, so you've all seen him before, and I guess I want to tee this up a little bit before I drop it on Brett. We had the opportunity to get all of our funding in alignment for this project, and we're able to figure out methodology to be able to finish this prior to the end of the season this year. That is going to take a lot of effort on the part of our contractor, and also We want to share what we're thinking and how we'd like to go about it, but ultimately this gets this done and out of the way so that we can maximize World Cup for our airport. And I did sit on my first World Cup meeting with the Kansas City area on Monday afternoon. I don't remember much of it, unfortunately, because it was one of those meetings that occurred after I found out about what had happened at home. And but we're teed up and we're in that group, and they know that our airport is going to be ready to serve folks coming in, especially as a host city. So without further ado, Brett, I'm going to have you walk through what we're thinking and see what feedback we might receive.
Yeah, let's see. So yeah, if you go on to the next slide here, we'll get into kind of the biggest change with this project, and that's going to be the start date. Talking with Bettis, they can get going as early as September 22nd, so just a few weeks out. None of the big portions of the project have really changed all that much. We've still got the apron pavement rehab and taxiway C as well. The next slide here should be, let's see, got them in the right order.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, she shared.
This is kind of shows their Bettis's schedule and what they think they can get done. And they've broken it into essentially two phases, looking at the western half of the apron as phase one, being able to complete that in 18 days. And then phase two would be the eastern portion of the apron along with taxiway C. And they've got about 25 days set for that. So if you go on to the next slide, we can look at kind of that phase one. I know you guys had seen this previously. It was broken up into, I think, 5 different phases that we had. Going about it this way, they'll be able to get construction done quite a bit faster. We'll still have them coordinate with all the tenants and everything to make sure that they can still access the airfield, because really there's only going to be a period of a day or two where it's not possible. They'll mill it off and put the tack coat down. Once that tack coat's down, they'll usually put that down a few hours before they're going to start paving. But kind of in that time period between when the tack goes down and that pavement is complete is when we wouldn't be able to access portions of the apron. And then we'll also kind of do the same coordination with the FBO to make sure we can get fuel trucks to the fuel farm and everything while we're doing that. And then the next slide kind of looks at phase 2 and what we've kind of broken out as phase 2A, since we have to close the runway as part of taxiway C. But similar situation here, a lot of coordination that the contractor will have to do with all the tenants to make sure nobody's interrupted for a significant amount of time. That closure on the west side of taxiway C, we still have that, but it's still limited to just the 4 calendar days. And then we've also added in there that once the contractor's outside of the RSA for 119, they're going to open that runway back up and keep moving east on taxiway C. So that'll be a quick turnaround from them kind of in that intersection there. But those are really the big updates with these phasing changes and schedule changes. But if anybody's got any questions, feel free to ask away and I'll try and give you the best answer.
Okay, let me start here, Sarah. First.
Will we get a copy of those couple slides?
Yeah, Kathleen, can you make sure that we all get copies of those slides?
Yeah. Well,
Okay, Ron, you're next.
Do
we'll add them to the minutes too.
you have anticipated dates for the west side closures?
Let's see. So if they're starting on about the 22nd, that would put us at
Of September.
Yes, sorry. So yeah, we'd be looking somewhere around that the end of the second week of October, somewhere around there, the 10th or the 13th.
Well, we'll have plenty of notice to move airplanes and stuff.
Are we taking
Yes.
into consideration of all game traffic? Will we be open on weekends?
Yes, yep, and there is about a month break between home football games that they'll be able to kind of take advantage of.
We wanted to make sure that we had a continuity of operations, especially for those game days. And probably wouldn't have a job if we closed it down for those. So I was a little leery about having to explain that to my husband. So yeah, so I think we're in a good spot with this. And again, if there was a delay or whatever, I know Aaron Parker, who's on, and Brett, and our project, our actual project inspector would work with them to make sure that we don't leave ourselves with a delay in a place where we're going to impact anything too significantly. So Aaron, anything you would want to comment on that? But we have our best inspector assigned to this project. So I think that's a really good thing. And Bettis is the contractor and they do amazing work. So
I would reiterate this. Yeah, we just worked with Casey Bettis. I think we're working with Mark Bettis on this one. Casey did a great job on North 2nd, North 3rd Streets, cleaned everything up and did exactly what we needed them to. So they're pretty responsive. Yeah, I think it'll go smoothly. Happy to stay in communication. And we're working as a team with Garver and their inspection group. So I think we'll be in good hands on this. And Brad, what's the overall time frame on this?
They had their schedule sitting at about 43 calendar days total, I believe it was.
and you will be getting official after today, as long as that you're all, good with this. We will be getting official information out, flyers, phasing information. I believe Brett's team was working on that for me as of Monday. We'll get that out to Lloyd, but we'll also get it out to all of our distribution list and get it posted on the website.
Yeah, I'd really appreciate it because I've got some pretty intense travel end of September through October. So we just need to figure out when I need to move the airplane over to where. So.
Okay.
And again, it's asphalt, so we're not pouring concrete, so the time and cure is quite a bit less. So Brett, is there anything you wanted to talk to on that?
No, I think, we're going to be on top of Bettis out there when they have a milled surface and everything, making sure it's clean as possible at all times. So really it'll just be kind of between that tack coat and essentially really the day after they pave that we won't be able to get on it a whole lot.
Anybody else? Gary? Jake?
Yeah, just for the airplanes that are on the west side, the KU jet and my airplane are quite a bit heavier than the light airplanes. So you may want to think about extending the cure time a little bit for that. So we don't, because my airplane's 9,000 pounds and KU's is about 13,000 pounds. So need to think about that rather than a car or a Cessna 172 when we do that.
Okay, Melissa, are you ready to give us an update on the airport, aviation, is it aviation general manager? Is that the title now? You're muted.
I'm muted. And Brett, thank you for joining, and Aaron, unless you're bored and want to stick around, you guys are free to fly.
Absolutely.
All right. So update on the aviation general manager. We did today finally get all of our documents signed. We're a little delayed, had some backups with legal review, but that wasn't too bad. And so we're under contract with Lindsay Dreiling to be able to provide recruitment services with us. We already do have some draft information that we've received, and the timeline is moving a little bit. We were hoping to have someone on right at the beginning of the year. It looks like it'll probably be by end of first quarter of 26, but we'll be getting that stuff out as soon as we finish work with HR on the posting range for hiring. But I think we're in a good spot, and I'm very excited to have the quality support in making sure that we're recruiting someone with the skill set that you all would expect out at the airport from the city, and that we'll be able to do good work for us in the community going forward as it relates to our airport. So Sarah.
Sarah?
And this would, of course, be, as you had said, previous meeting, Melissa, a full-time position.
Yes, absolutely. I've
you.
been moonlighting and I don't want to do that anymore.
But the full-time position, that's the only function they have.
Which is
Yes.
new.
Yes,
Yeah, which is good and new.
Right, exactly.
okay. I want to
In
skip.
the past, it was
Carrie?
part-time.
I was curious, Melissa, have you guys started talking about what the process looks like and kind of will our board be involved with that or anything like that?
Yes, absolutely. So we've got a couple of phases. Obviously, we'll have the phase where we're attempting to recruit quality candidates, which we should be able to do. And then after that, we will have probably like an open house where you can meet the finalists and provide input. And then I do know that we intend to have at least one or two aviation experts, probably one person, if not two, from the board on the actual interview for the position. So I would not leave it up to just Melissa to figure that out. So you guys will be engaged in some form or fashion. So.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, I'd like to make one slight change in the agenda just to facilitate one more item. And that is, I would like to go to D, board items, and say we are very happy to have Jim Laster back. Have been reappointed to the board. And we're looking forward to seeing you in person, Jim, if we can keep the schedule straight. So, now.
My guess is he's gonna miss the October 15th meeting, just like I am. Right,
Where are you
Jim?
gonna be, Jim?
NBA.
NBA?
MBAA.
Okay,
And I would suggest if we wanted to consider moving that back, Clancy, that I'd be willing to do that simply because I will just be returning from a long flight that weekend myself. And for those of you who don't know, Kathleen, who's been helping me out here for the last year, is departing for permanent residency in Spain with the passing of her mom. So there's a lot of changes going on at the moment, and I'm happy to make one more to accommodate attendance.
I would appreciate it. I think it'd be, any schedule change would be good. I think both me and Ron will be gone from Monday to Thursday that week, so. If it
Would the
prior or after, I think would
22nd
work. for us.
would October 22nd work for everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Then we'll consider that. The only thing I know
Yes.
that we may have to do is the additional documentation that we're working on, which is the minimum operating standards, the leasing policy. And there's something going on with the master plan. So do you want to address that? You want to address any of those? Mute. Yeah.
Just, well, at the moment tonight, we're gonna move through our work session item, and then
Right.
I will try to have drafts like this out to you guys on the minimum standards before I leave. The lease policy, I'm not sure that I'm gonna be able to get to
Okay.
that, Clancy, just too much. I'm gonna be
Okay.
gone again next week for the funeral as well. So
Yeah,
it's just,
yeah.
it's a lot. I'm sorry.
Oh, no need. Okay, so we'll have that probably by the end of the month then. Okay,
And Jim did post, just so you know, in the chat that October 21st would be better for him. Because he would be at a conference.
okay.
The October when? Tuesday's okay by me.
21 works for me as well. Yes,
Yeah, I can do the.
I guess that on Mondays, that works.
Yes.
Yeah, I can do the 21st.
21st or 22nd works for me too. So
Okay.
Jim, do you want to do the 21st? Okay. It's now the 21st.
Okay. And as long as I don't have to be at commission, you guys should be good.
Okay, that's Tuesday, the 21st. Okay, now.
Well, no, that's a consideration. Do you have to be at the city commission meeting?
I'm not set for that date at this time, and I'll make sure that they know that I wouldn't be available.
Okay. Right,
You'll send an update, Kathleen, to that.
yeah,
to the-
yes. Okay, I think we are ready to start a marathon discussion about the rules and regulations. And the first thing I want to say is, we have to remember that a lot of this has to do with compliance issues with the FAA right now. So Melissa, if you'd like to address that briefly for us so that we have the context of this, I'd appreciate it. And just give us the big picture of why this is happening now.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I also want to introduce Tim Rogers is on tonight. I know he's on mute and he's got his camera turned off because he's, using his etiquette, but he's here and he will be here with us through this process. We are in the process of trying to get some things in place that the board has been asking about for a number of years now, which included minimum standard, either updates or revisions. As we went through it, we never found that those were actually adopted. And as we brought Tim on board here about a month and a half ago, it became clear to us that we actually needed a set of airport rules and regulations that the minimum standards would then build off of for those companies operating at the airport, where the airport rules and regs are really to address just aviation operations and interaction with, the public areas and non-public areas of the airport, and that we really needed something in place. We're seeing this as an iterative process, meaning that we're going to come to you tonight. We're going to see where we get. I've incorporated comments and feedback and changes and updates to this document, and I'll be doing my best to keep up with you guys tonight on whatever other feedback we receive. But what I want to say is our goal is to have something that everyone can feel is providing enhanced operations at the airport, or knowledge about how you function when you're at our airport, and also helping us with future and current compliance with FAA rules and regulations. There's just some things that we just need to do better, and it's going to be change, and I recognize that. And our new airport general manager, when they get on board, will be working with this as their rule book, their playbook on how they conduct their business. So I think these are good things to get in place. And I know that it's not going to, all right, bye, Jim. I know that it's a lot. It's a lot of pages. Trust me, I've been through it 110 times. So, but there's some stuff in there that opens a door to next steps. And then there's other things that are just kind of baseline. So Clancy, is that what you were looking for from me, or is
Yeah, I just want everybody to understand why we have to do this, in part because we need to get to the next step in the 21st century on this airport. So, okay, let me start out. First of all, I've received additional comments from Chad Decker, and I think Ron, you sent yours. I haven't seen those yet.
Yeah.
And I did receive 4 sets of comments from other commenters outside the board, which I've tried to incorporate in some of my comments as we go through this today. The first thing I want to say is, please do not worry about the table of contents at this point. It will all be changed, straightened around on the final version. The next thing I want to say is on page 6 of version 5, if everybody has that, my recommendation is that we change the title to common definitions and acronyms so that we can put in whatever we need to in there. And then I'd like to just go page by page, if we can, if it won't be way too cumbersome, and see what comments are. I can tell you first what I have heard from people, and that I will pass along to Melissa to incorporate or do whatever she needs to do, and then I can ask you for your comments on this. So that was the first change I wanted, just the title. And then there was comment from, I believe, Doug, on hang gliders are a subcategory of ultralight, so we may just want to change it to the category. So I don't know how picky we need to be on that. And then is it
Clancy? I'm sorry, you're just muffled enough that I'm missing a few.
Okay.
a few words, and
Just-
there was something about the word ultralight, but I'm not sure which.
Okay, then maybe tell me if I've got this wrong, just point at me or something. Hang gliders seem to be a subcategory of ultralights. So we may be able to, ultralights are larger. I don't know, do we need to change it to somehow or another? I think you've already incorporated that change. And
I'm
then-
sure I have.
Okay, and then is it the airport general manager or the aviation general manager is the title?
Airport General Manager.
Okay,
So the minutes are wrong.
yeah, that's what.
I mean, the
okay.
agenda's wrong.
Is there any other comments on this page 6?
No, I have one.
Okay, well, let me go page by page, sir. On 7, there seems to be some, airport security versus air operations area, and I think, Tim, you had said that they're basically the same for the purposes of this airport. I think we probably have to make sure that the same terminology is used throughout.
And that's the one I had a question about. I don't know. what
Yeah.
right.
My comments were directed towards not referring to anything that would be related to Transportation Security Administration regulations that involve airport security, like 1542. That's an air carrier airport. When we talk about an airport secure area, a CETA area, or anything related to an airport security plan or program, that's putting into your rules and regulations something that is not required. And
Okay.
I also look at rules and regulations as this is also helps the airport and the city deal with risk management and liability issues by adopting rules and regulations. But you also don't want somebody looking at your rules and regulations and something happening, and you say we have an airport security program that's typically a 1542 requirement, and you're not an air carrier airport. So I think it's okay to call it an airport, refer to it as a local security, and just your secured area is your AOA, is your defined
Okay.
AOA. It's not a
Okay.
CETA area. It's not an ASP, Airport Security Program area, sterile area, anything like that. It's just your AOA is your secure area, which is your fenced area and your gated area.
So what we should probably do with this definition then is refer people to the AOA, then say CAOA or something.
Yep. And you have a defined AOA. It'll be in your driver training information that you develop later on. It'll be it is part of your ALP already. It defines the AOA, and you have that already set. And that's a standard in airport operations. The AOA is that area that you also want your safety occurring in that safety area, but you can also use it for your security needs.
Okay,
And I have already changed the definition that should be in the version that was last sent out to say airport security area, the airport's air operations area.
okay, all right, great.
I have a general comment about all of those airport area definitions. There's a lot of things that are confusing, contradictory, what you can and can't do. My recommendation is we take all of those areas. They should be defined in the ALP and referenced consistently in the ALP. Throughout this whole document, they are not. And we need to do that.
Okay. I've got that down.
And I think that's really important because we're talking about the whole airport as the AOA. And then we say, we can't take cars here. You got to have this here. You got to have this here. And I don't think that's what we mean. So we need to define those much better.
I think a map would help too.
I think a map would help.
Yeah.
And that would really be the best way to do it. It really should be tied into the ALP, and it should be on the ALP, and that should be the map.
Okay, thank you, Ron. Other comments, questions on page 7? Sarah?
There are currently no courtesy vehicles. That's 1.20.
There may be at some point.
So we can.
A number of these sections and definitions may not apply.
No, we have courtesy vehicles at the airport.
Obviously.
I thought you-
Well, did you take them away?
You can't have it, but they're.
Well, okay, keep in mind that there are a number of sections in here that may not directly apply,
Sure,
but
we're planning for
This-
the
this-
future.
regulations, so rules and regulations, correct me if I'm wrong, Melissa, probably will not take effect for at least 1 quarter or 2 to 3 months after they're adopted. And some of these things are future things that are gonna happen. For example, like coded entry or a card.
Sure, no, I
card-
understood
kind of
that,
stuff.
but I didn't.
That may happen later.
That's from him.
Yeah.
Well, it is possible today to see a courtesy vehicle out there. We may not have them, but I could tell you for World Cup.
What says we
see
do?
those. Yeah,
They do exist out there already.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, that was my guess, so,
There's at least 4.
okay.
Heavens.
thank you.
Well,
I'll tell my friends.
Okay.
For my client.
Okay, are we ready for page 8? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I think, Doug, we removed your, avgas and jet fuel problem in 1.28. And then we also added in 131, the disposal of fuel waste products. So I think those were your concerns. What does everybody else have on 8? Sarah?
1.27, I thought maybe you should define FAR. This is the first time FAR comes up, Federal Aviation Regulations. FAR Part 135, that ought to be
Okay.
defined.
I'll make a note.
Or make just a separate category
Yeah,
between 125, 126, and 6. FAR equals Federal Aviation Regulations.
okay.
And we're talking about on 127, we're talking about unscheduled 135, although our scheduled 135s as well. 135 does not necessarily mean unscheduled, it means scheduled as well.
Okay. A note.
I could add, I think we've added further on, the provision for Part 135, Section 380, scheduled flights that could well be in Lawrence's future. And that's attached to a comment. My comments to that are attached to that section. I can't remember where that is, but we did add in here the provision that for Section 380, scheduled Part 135.
Now, on that vein, I'll discuss that. I personally don't foresee scheduled operations at Lawrence anytime in the foreseeable future. We've tried to have scheduled operations. It just doesn't work in Lawrence. We're too close.
Okay.
And in my opinion, therefore, any of the rules that deal with security areas that are required for that aren't, in my opinion, relevant to be put in here, because by the time, if we ever have a scheduled service, who knows what the rules are going to be in the future. We shouldn't try to second guess rules that maybe might happen because maybe we might have. That's just a waste of everybody's time and complicating things way more than they need to be complicated.
Does anybody else have comments on page 8? Okay.
Yeah, one more.
Okay,
Happens several places, specifically 1.33. It's a definition and a rule all in one. If we're doing definitions, they're definitions. We shouldn't bury rules with inside definitions. For example, the very last sentence of 1.33 is a rule, not a definition.
okay, thank you.
And that's just throughout the document. There's several of those.
Okay. Next page, I have, the only comment I have is on 140, I believe. That one can be also removed to definitions and acronyms, I think.
Oh, the NFP.
Yeah. Anything on page 9 from anybody else?
143, we're defining an operator as only commercial operators. So a private aircraft operator is not an operator by this definition.
That is correct.
And most of the operations at Lawrence are not commercial operations.
Yes, we agree with that, and Tim has made a comment here in the margin about that too.
Yeah.
Okay, page 10. There was, well, aside from a renumbering problem, which will be taken care of again.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned about that at this point. That will all get taken care of down at the final edit. The questions seem to center on things like in 153 about the restricted area versus the airport operations area and all this other stuff. So is the restricted area everything inside the fence?
We don't have any restricted areas and don't need any. That's
Ron,
fair carry.
let somebody who knows what the answer is, tell me what the answer is. I don't know. Melissa, do we have a restricted area?
Do we or should we?
I guess both.
Well,
We should.
I
Is it
believe,
inside, is it everything inside the fence?
yes, that's what
Okay.
we're talking about.
Okay.
Restricted area relates to TSA requirement for scheduled air carriers.
What would you suggest we call it, Ron?
I don't think it has a place in here at all.
Air operations area.
We don't have restricted areas. We don't need that in the definition.
Okay, we can call it the air, it can be this, if it's the same,
The air operate, that's already defined somewhere.
I know,
Right.
but now we can define that again. Tim, can we define restricted area as the air operations area?
You can define restricted area really as whatever you would and the city commission would like to do. A restricted area in this sense is not necessarily a TSA restricted area. It can be an area restricted by, as determined by the Airport Advisory Board and adopted by the city commission for a variety of reasons and designated or signed as a restricted area. Do you want to define your fuel farm as a restricted area so you don't just, so there is only limited access to your fuel farm and keep that secure? It's really your local determination if there are areas of the airport that that would have possible access by the general public, but should be restricted from that access.
Okay, so this is not necessarily a TSA restricted area, quote unquote, but it can be one that the city defines for itself. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, and again, for,
Yes.
I'd like to make a comment. For international people or others that are coming here, if they say restricted area, that has a whole different meaning. Because unless they go through the Lawrence books, they're not gonna know what that means. So we should not be putting terms in here that are also on the federal documents, but have different meanings. That would be extremely confusing.
Okay, I'm making a note.
I do think Tim's part of, I think the fuel farm was a great example, right? Like if we, I don't want people messing around with the fuel
No,
farm. So if we put some type of, if we wanted to put something up there that said, restricted or warning or something, what would we call that area?
Okay, so the airport operations area is inside the fence.
Sure.
And a restricted area is whatever we determine that it is by the city.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like the fuel farm idea.
And that would be signs like a fence or signs around the fuel farm.
Sure. Yeah, and again, whether we call it restricted area or warning area, I don't have a strong purpose of the actual wording, but I do think we need to have some type of way to say, stay out of this area
Okay.
if we don't want people.
Doug, you have a comment?
Just that there are already signs on the gates that say authorized entry only, which would tend to indicate that's a restricted area you're entering.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has any, is pertinent here, but
It may be later, but I don't think it matters.
if the whole fenced in area is going to be the AOA, then that's a restricted area.
Well, so I asked mostly because there is verbiage later that says you have to be wearing a badge somewhere.
That's one of those things that's gonna be.
Pertinent to the restricted area. So if we define the AOA as restricted area, then everybody's got to have.
So the restricted area is different from the AOA, that needs to be spelled.
Yeah, that needs to be spelled out. Okay.
I think it should be. I think it's a difference in my mind.
Are you talking about the Kansas airport statute that's on the gates? Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's a state statute for the operations area.
Okay.
Nancy?
Any other, yes,
What I would just like to say is we'll go back and look at that. We'll figure it out. We'll look at our airport layout plan, figure out how we want to address that to bring back for the final version. And, also understand that we will create maps off this stuff. I wasn't gonna have my staff spend time trying to come up with maps when we're guessing at what we're even doing. So
Yeah.
just wanted to let you know that I wasn't trying to.
no, I understand.
And then the other thing, we will be updating signage. I found errors on the signage out there. And that we have our own sign shop, so that's like such not a big deal. So don't worry about that. That's easy for us to do. I'll take care of logistics, and we'll go from there.
Okay, the comment I have, on this page otherwise is on 157, scheduled air carrier, and why it is being included. So I don't know the answer to that. I'm assuming that since we don't have 121, we have 135 and 135, 380. So that's perfectly acceptable, and I don't see a reason to change that.
1.4 is multiple definitions in one definition. Defining aircraft, you're defining major repairs, minor repairs, it really.
Where are you?
Page 6, wrong page.
We're on page 10. Ron.
I'm on the wrong page. Okay,
Okay, all right, so we just need, I think that,
it's in my comments anyway.
yeah, 157, I think is probably okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments on page 10? Okay,
Clancy, Tim again, you're okay with 1.57 with the
Yes.
addition of part 135, section 380?
yeah, it's there, I see it in blue ink right now on my copy, Word and font.
Yeah.
So it looks good to me.
And again, the reasoning, and just for the board's information, there are single engine turboprop and multi-engine turboprop operators now that are adopting the section 380 business model. The success of JSX has been a part of that. SkyWest Airlines just received section 380 approval for their operator, section 380 SkyWest Charter. And so and there is a future with advanced air mobility and how fast that's moving, that some of those operators will probably be looking at section 380 operations in the future too. So this is forward looking. And right now, I think the comment about regulations, we don't know what those regulations would be, but we know today a section 380 operator provides their own security through the GA terminal building. And
Okay.
that's their responsibility to do so under their TSA security plan. No additional
you.
requirements to the airport.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that, and I thank you very much for that. Okay, any other comments on page 10? Doug?
Just a question. The 154 says aviation fuels. And to me, that does not include MoGas, which some aircraft owners use and some airports sell. I know Gardner, for example, has a pump for MoGas.
Yeah,
If we say aviation fuels, are we ruling out the sale of MoGas ever?
I don't know the answer to that. I
I
don't.
think the definition would be if it's going in an
If
airplane.
it's aviation fuel, yeah, I would consider it aviation.
Well, that's
Not letting it.
the way I would prefer to look at it.
Yeah.
I don't know that there are
Jet A
any
or-
plans to add it to the fuel farm, but,
No,
and I would think, unfortunately, I hate to say this, but I think most people are gonna be bringing their own. And that creates other issues down the road on this, but
So we just got rid of the word aviation and just use fuel.
no, we have
I
to,
think aviation fuel still.
I think it ought to be,
I consider MoGas aviation fuel.
Okay.
In an airplane.
I'm not putting it in mine.
So, yeah. Me neither, but if somebody does, like, it's technically now aviation
All
fuel.
right,
If they're putting it in a motor vehicle, it's on the ramp.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, page 11. The sterile area, Doug, is all gone. The sterile area in 159 is all gone. And you may find that some of your notes, the numbers don't agree with what's in this version. I found that they got undone with each other, got out of sync. And I agree with Doug on taxi lane and taxiway. Why don't we use the FAA definitions on those
Yeah,
I agree.
100%.
instead of making up our own? Okay, I got that note down. Tie down. The only comment I have on that, and I don't know what anybody else thinks about this. It is possible that we would have enough airplanes, for example, like on the Kansas airport, if we doubled the number of airplanes that showed up on that, then we have to tie down people on the grass. And there's nothing wrong with doing that as long as it's not mud.
Or if we get the Air Race Classic.
Or if we get the Air Race Classic again, which probably won't happen for a few years anyway. So,
That's they paved and unpaved.
yeah, so I think that's fine. I don't think we have to have it paved. And then through the fence, do we have any through the fence operators? Do we
Yes,
consider-
KU,
KU is through the fence, right? Okay,
yes, without an
Okay.
agreement, but obviously we got the airport from them, so we have some work to do, but it is a through the fence.
okay, so that definition should probably stay. Any other comments or questions on 11?
160, kind of like Ron covered earlier, they put a rule in the definitions. Formal approval is required by the city for such lease agreement.
Okay, I agree, that's
Spell that out somewhere in the rules.
well, it's also a definition, I think it's both.
Yeah, I mean, 160, you got the definition, but the rule part needs to come out of that. And quite frankly, that rule shouldn't be in the rules. That should be in the agreements.
We're working
That's,
on that.
yeah,
We're working on that.
that's not a rule thing. That should be in rules. That should be a lease agreement.
Okay, the only thing I can say is if we just might need to work on the definition of
Yeah.
sublease, so.
Yeah.
I don't. Okay. Okay, 12. We're almost a third of the way through.
167, we define transient aircraft as transient aircraft. This is one of Doug's definitions. He had a really good wording in his.
Yeah, I did. Let me
Okay.
find it.
Aircraft utilizing the airport other than base aircraft.
Which,
167.
Back on 11.
got it.
Page 1.
Reword. Okay,
Yeah, that's succinct.
other. Yeah, okay, got it. Okay, no more on 11 and 12. This is section 2, introduction. I noted here that we have an airport operating manual and airport security operating procedures. Do we have those?
Oh, good point.
Don't have them, it shouldn't be in here.
Right. Well,
Clancy, can
Yeah.
you say what you were saying again? I'm sorry, every now and then your voice drops off and
On page 12, in the introduction, 2.2, part 2, 2.2, in the the third to the last line, it says airport operating manual and airport security operating procedures. Do we have those?
we will, and we will
Okay.
soon.
yeah, we have.
Tim, any other follow-up on that?
Yeah, those terms are intended to stay away from the Part 139 terms, an ACM, Airport Certification Manual, or the 1542 term is Airport Security Plan.
Your
So,
audio is terrible. Your audio has gone berserk.
okay,
Try again.
is that better?
Yes.
Weird.
So that is to get away from the Part 139 and 1542 terms, Airport Certification Manual or Airport Security Plan. So nobody looks at the term that's a regulatory term and asks for your ACM or your AEP, and it's not conforming to that
Okay.
term. You can develop the airport operating manual and your security operating procedures on your own,
Okay.
and they're yours.
Okey doke, thank you. My only question was, if we're gonna develop them, we need to say so here, but I'll leave that to you guys. to
They're
figure
gonna be
that out.
coming real fast behind this. By the time this gets adopted, we're gonna be having those things in place. So I'd prefer not to come back because it's a heck of a process to amend.
Okay, gotcha. On page 13, almost everybody has questioned the airport general manager's authority to remove or evict from the airport. And without, it doesn't define, there's nothing in here about any due process or anything else. Is that something that we want here without due process?
I should have actually put this in as a yellow. This is something that's gonna go through legal like the next section. So if we would just want to skip over
Okay.
those.
Oh,
we
that's
can
what the
move
yellow means. Okay, I
on.
didn't know what the yellow meant.
Yes, I should have highlighted that in yellow. That is definitely not in Melissa's purview. That's what's line ahead.
Okay,
But it's gonna have to go through legal and they'll tell me how it's gonna work.
okay, so that's gonna be looked at seriously. Okay, anybody got questions or problems on the rest of page
That was the
14?
question.
Okay, well, everybody had that question. Okay, and page 14 is all yellow, so I think we should ignore it.
Yeah, we're attorney.
Until legal has had a chance to look at that. Page 15, general rules and regulations. Okay. I have questions myself on the legal necessity of airport, the airport saying it doesn't have any liability. I don't know,
Yeah, no.
I mean-
Whatsoever for anything.
yeah, I don't know if that's gonna, it doesn't.
This is not gonna fly.
Yeah,
Every lawyer puts that into every contract they ever.
yeah, I know. Is that just a legal requirement that we put that in there? Even though you could be sued for negligence if somebody did something wrong?
Yeah, it's like-
Well, does it, yeah, something I thought about. So the T hanger, it says users are not allowed to do any of their maintenance. Let's say the hanger drops on someone's plane. They weren't allowed to do any maintenance. They didn't do anything wrong, but it's not the airport's fault and you can't
Right,
sue them.
right. So I don't know what to say about that. I'll put a question mark by it and let the legal work on that. And then on building and remodeling, is that, I mean, it seems kind of obvious that nobody's gonna be able to build on the airport without getting
Well,
permits and
except
stuff.
the
Just because
remodeling.
it's obvious to you does not mean it's obvious to everyone.
Okay, well,
And if I
But
don't
that-
say it, it's not obvious.
okay,
Would that just pertain to publicly owned buildings where there's individually owned hangars on the field would be different than that? Like Ron's hangars independently owned, Patrick hangars independently owned, at Eurotex hangars independently owned,
Don Eagle.
Don's Diesel. How would those be defined in those categories?
I'm gonna let Tim answer that, but I can tell you that permits are always required. So
Yeah, building permits are no question about.
yeah, okay.
I have a question back on 5.4. You don't own the land.
Wait a minute till we get this resolved, Sarah, okay? Why don't I just put down there that we need to check on legalities?
Yeah, I mean, Doug had a really good comment on that one, is just refer to city ordinance that prohibits building or modifying without a proper approvals. I mean, the city has all of those rules in place. Why add a new rule?
Yeah.
Use the rule that's already in place, makes it so much simpler for everybody,
Okay,
including the city.
I got it down. Sarah, you had a question on 5.4.
On 5.4, shouldn't the justifiable reason be given to the person? It seems like the airport manager could delay, restrict, whatever, anything. But how do we know it's there's two parts really, but I thought the justifiable reason should be given to the person or company that the manager is restricting, prohibiting, delaying, etc.
I mean, it's kind of like back on page 13,
Yeah, I think that's probably some of those better language that the legal department needs to look at.
That one
Yeah.
needs to be in yellow.
Yeah, put that one in yellow
There
too. Thank you.
You need
Okay.
to do process there.
All right.
Yeah.
Any, page 15. Going. 16.
I guess I had one.
Oh.
And it sounds like Tim Rogers kind of addressed it already, but if you want no pets, the domestic pets and animals, except certified service animals, are those traveling with an aircraft owner, operator, and or passengers. Pretty loose. It seems like the intent is flying out of the airport and not just with the owner,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
because that, I mean, if that's the
Let me
intent,
underline that.
I think he's talking about it as in transit with aircraft owner, but probably.
Okay.
It's awfully specific with a leash length.
Okay. Okay, page 16. Commercial
Can I-
activities,
Sorry, can I make a comment there?
yeah,
I think you should allow things like animal rescue flights, exchange of animals on the ramp, et cetera, or maybe even in the terminal. Things like pilots and paws, if somebody's handing off an animal to another plane that's outbound.
okay.
uh, If you can allow that, I don't know what wording you'd put in there to do that. That
I'll
would-
put a note and pass it on to Melissa if she's not already writing.
Is the intent of that line so people don't have animals living on the airport, or is it intended to keep animals out of the terminal building? What was the intent of that?
I think it's mostly to keep it out of the terminal building.
So I think that, it could be worded to address that issue and not step on the toes of animal rescue and transport.
Okay, I have a really dumb question now for what the intent is here. Sometimes I know that I bring my dog to the airport with me to the hangar. Is that permitted?
Not in
As long as it's on a leash.
So a 6 feet leash, yeah.
So yeah,
Okay,
Long
if
as-
traveling with is maybe fine then, because
as long as it's on a leash.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I interpreted this saying that as long as he's on a leash, a 6-foot leash. you can bring
That's
your-
bigger than a dog.
It's traveling with.
Yeah.
The idea is it's close enough that you have control. It's no different than city code rights to people who walk their dogs.
Okay,
Yeah, I do think that clarify that.
Not kenneling up on the airport and leaving
Okay.
to,
Yeah.
so.
okay, commercial activities. The question is, what is the procedure to get permission, licenses, permits, and so forth? Do we need to state that in here? Yeah, so I,
Or refer to.
or at least say you have to talk to the city clerk or somebody who you talk to, I suppose.
I think that's a little, what all do we say falls underneath that though, right? Like if I'm a new CFI and I'm gonna get my 172 out there and I wanna now do, flights around KU. Is there a permit that the city gives for that, or creating a permit now for that type of stuff? Or-
If you're, I suppose, if you're performing business on the field, yeah, I suppose you'd have. Do we think independent CFIs, for example, Melissa, are going to have a city business permit?
Yep, that's the
Well,
way this is.
The way this works, this will all be covered through the minimum standards. So
Okay,
I think, commercial activities will be covered by the minimum standards.
okay, and in
That's-
there it'll give people instructions about who to go to and who to talk to and
What about-
applications.
I guess what about like transient people, right? Say if I'm a CFI from another place.
No way you can do a thing about it, I think.
Well,
Or what if
crazy,
you're a
but
DPE
that's at
doing
the-
an exam,
Yeah,
check it.
So,
If we want 5.7 to refer to the minimum standards, we need to put that in 5.7.
Yep.
Can't just imply that you might go to the minimum standards. You need to say that it needs to be covered by the minimum standard.
It's not a problem. It's already put in.
okay.
Is there a process for it then? Let's say, we'll talk about my company, for instance, we've talked to KU doing some testing at the airport
Yeah.
out there with which is not flying, but just maybe a motor and propeller out of the apron or something.
Yeah.
Do I walk to the sea and say, can I do that? Do they have
Yeah.
a procedure for that?
Well, when we have an airport, when we have an airport manager, you go talk to them, they'll talk to, point you the right way. So,
Yeah, you'll have to do that.
Yeah, I'll do it, but do they have, is there a procedure for
Yeah,
that?
there has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we gotta dial in on this one a little bit. It's like there's too many things that can like catch into this that
Okay,
we're either not gonna be able to enforce it or it's gonna be a real.
okay, I've put a question mark down. The only other thing that I can say too is we have inconsistently referred to the minimum standards for commercial operators has been to my view, about 3 different protocols, and we just need to make sure we've got it the same all the way through. For example, here it says commercial minimum standards when it's supposed to be minimum standards for commercial operators. So we probably need to.
Needs to be consistent.
Needs to be consistent. Yeah. Any other questions on 16? I'm looking around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What one?
510.
510. Okay.
Uh,
What's the
I
question?
mean, maybe this is too down in the weeds, but again, approved aircraft maintenance, does this imply that we'll have to get approval to do aircraft maintenance? I know it's called out later as far as, like small maintenance that you're allowed to do on your own plane, but, so open flames in general. And then, there is part of it that to me contradicts the above. So you say it's okay to use open flames, but then smoking and any use of any open flame device is prohibited on any apron or within 50 feet of any aircraft, fuel truck, fuel facility, or flammable storage facility, which isn't necessarily in itself bad, but you just said it's okay to use open flames on an aircraft. But then
And
you say you can't.
welding and cutting activity.
Yeah, and then it also says that person trained in its proper usage present. So is there going to be a definition of training? Do I have to provide a certificate? Not trying to tie people's hands, but like if you're going to tie people's hands with rules, then you kind of need to define it, in my opinion.
Yeah, yep, good point. Put a firework, so I now a properly trained person to do it.
Well, the other thing I see is, I'm not sure. You can tell me what you think about this, but I'm not real sure that I want anybody welding in T-hangers.
No, and if Tim is back on, he may want to jump in on this one, because this
Yeah.
is about safety and liability. It's very fundamental core. I know he was trying to fix his audio.
Yep, I think I'm okay now. Everybody can hear
You're
me
good.
better.
You're good.
I think one of the areas to guidance that Melissa and I have talked about is really working with the local fire marshal on these items. But there is any open flame, any use of of fire in aviation, it's just and in hangars especially, and in the airframe and power plant process. I mean, it's very regulated what can be done, but it's a source of potential ignition of around airplanes, around components of airplanes, around maintenance, and so this is intended fueling. So these are typically in airport rules and regulations very restrictive, and intended to be so just to limit the chance for personal injury, property damage, liability issues, and so that's the way these sections in airport rules and regulations are constructed, to be very restrictive. I think the cutting and welding and activities typically within an MRO operation or a maintenance operation is provided for by the license A&P, that process. So I think if I understood one question along those lines, that would be is definitely permitted. I don't believe Part 43 owner pilot maintenance allows for any welding or maintenance within the Part 43, but that's something that you all may want to look into a little bit deeper, a little more in depth.
What about the home builder that's that's working on his airplane and is a repairman and therefore fully licensed to work on his airplane? Or what about the home builder that's completing his airplane in the T hangar, which I think should be allowed?
Yeah.
That's very reasonable.
We have notes on that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
and as far as cutting goes, this seems to imply with like a grinder or another electric device that is. Would it include like shears or anything where you're still cutting metal? I mean, I don't know. It's squeaky and pedantic, but
I think Ron has touched on a broader point, and I bet that is that whatever overlap there is between these rules and hangar leases there needs to be no conflict between those.
right.
They need to be put into agreement.
I think that that'll be covered, Doug, when the new leasing policy comes out, and I suspect, although I don't
Sure.
know. we may
It's
be-
also part of the work we have to do to comply with our FAA.
The FAA compliance stuff.
Yes, so there's no shortage of effort here.
Okay, well, the way I'm seeing this is that we may need to clarify some issues in 5.10.
Yeah, good point.
And,
That's right.
All very good comments and discussion.
yeah, and make sure that we all understand what we're doing, because I can see welding torches being cutting torches, and I think that's what they're implying here, but it needs to be, spelled out. Okay, anything else on page 16? Okay,
On 511.2, seems a little broad. Route the airport to be adequate and their use in the manner offensive or objectionable to other users for any reason. I mean, I agree with the intent of that, but
well, maybe we just say you can't have it. Whatever your intention. Okay, I'll make a note.
5.9 helicopter skids could be interpreted to damaging the round. I don't think that's really what we mean. So, I mean, there's a lot of helicopters operating on our airport that have skids, and they can damage the grass, they can damage the ramp. And so that needs to be thought about. I don't think we want to stop that.
No.
I don't think that's what was intended, but that's what it says. So,
Okay. I got him. All right. All right, are we done with 16 or not? Okay. No, don't give me any more gray hairs, please. Okay, 17 hazardous materials, 5.12. I have no comments on this page, so whoever wants to talk, Sarah.
It's really poorly written. It's redundant. So we go down 2, 3, 4, 5, line 6, provided that all the way through premises is pretty much repeating what was said on the top. I think this was some cut and paste error or something.
yeah. And up there it says no hazardous materials, and then it says approved hazardous materials.
Yeah, that's another
Big
point. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and,
So it's very sloppily written. I really
Yes.
think some of it's cut and paste issues.
Okay,
Do you see the parts I mean?
I do.
Right.
there's also the issue of can't store more than 5 gallons of fuel.
Oh, yeah,
That means
boy, I-
basically
Yeah.
basically an FBO can't do his business then, what you're saying.
No, I think they mean in the teen years, but I'll see what,
It doesn't say that.
yeah.
You're right, it doesn't. That was another note.
It doesn't say.
Okay, 5.12.4 says you can't have more
well, they
than
got permission, I guess.
5 gallons at the airport without prior written permission. Obviously, the FBO can store more than 5 gallons because they certainly have permission.
And they have a lease to do the work.
Yeah, and that is in their lease. So is the 5 gallons intended for the T hangar users?
Yes,
Okay. All right.
What about other hangar users?
It's not
Lifestar,
well
for
defined.
example.
Only if written. Written permission.
Yeah.
they would have a SASO agreement with us, and that would exempt them if there's a reason. Tim, jump in if you need to.
Okay, I'm just making a note. We might need to just add clarifying language on that.
Yeah, Melissa, you're correct in that this is intended, any commercial business or operator that needs to store more than 5 gallons would go to the, would be going to the airport and city for that written permission, either in a license agreement or in a lease agreement. In the event a ag sprayer comes and asks for a temporary use of the airport for ag operations, then that license agreement would provide for bringing fuel on in greater than that's needed for the refueling operations and the temporary operations. So this is intended to, yes, provide that's the T hangar tenant ability to store up to 5 gallons, but then anything more than that requires the written agreement with the city of Lawrence.
And I would say, going back on that, if we have large chemical storage of any sort in the community, there are requirements around that because of our emergency response officials and their need to understand what's being stored so that when they respond, they can be appropriately not only trained, but protected from whatever they may be responding to.
Okay, I have a question in that case. Under the hazardous materials regulations, do we need to have some kind of wording here for appropriate signage? Like the 1203 and
There's MSDS's here under 12.1.
will that do it? That's data sheets. I'm talking about those placards that if you're storing something, you need to have it on the building. I don't know.
Yeah, does
Make
the
a note.
city do, maybe, as well as the MSDS. Good point.
Okay, 17.
Yeah. I got
Sarah?
something. 5.13, I think is too broad. Experiences overflowing or spilling of oil, grease, fuel, alcohol. Okay, the 172s I fly have this overflow valve. If it's a little overfull or if it's hot, that's gonna drip on the tarmac. Oil just naturally drips a bit out of airplanes. I think this is too restrictive. If my line guy fills up the plane all the way and then, it takes a while to take off and it gets really hot, some's gonna come out that overflow valve and that's like normal. I'm not gonna call the airport manager for that. This is like, I think it's too restrictive.
Okay, so we need to find a definition for what the threshold is. for-
Yes, threshold
Okay.
is a good word.
Write it down, Doug.
Yeah, we should dump them.
Okay, no, well, you know what they do,
Well, Lloyd's got the reverse osmosis.
at other universities, well, so do I, but at other universities, they keep a bucket or a
Oh,
can
that you-
right by the tie downs.
See, that
At
would be
UCM,
nice.
that's what they do.
Actually, that's what Embry-Riddle does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, page 18.
Get them.
The only comment I have on this one is from Derek Rogers and Tammy Willis. Do we really need some kind of, and 5.19, is this a problem at the Lawrence Airport
I knew it was.
for sound amplifying devices?
Are people having loud parties and I'm not invited?
Yeah, well, if your dad's gonna show another movie, we might.
It's not about if it is currently, it's about when it becomes, and then I have nothing on the books to be able to address it other than the city sound ordinance, which I don't even know what that says. I could look it up, but
Okay,
Let's
I just,
refer to that.
there's a lot of things the FAA wants us to do to not be disrespectful to adjacent properties as well.
okay, I'm just making a note, Melissa, for the city sound ordinance on here, in case we wanna cross-reference it. Okay,
I just had one point on 5.16.
yeah,
I feel like this could probably be deleted because it's illegal anyway, but it says basically no stealing, no person shall take or use any aircraft parts, instruments, tools, and uncontrolled or operated by any person on the airport within its hangars except with the consent of the owner or operator thereof. And maybe it's just a catch-all, but
It's kind of obvious.
Well, did you hear about the guy in
Don't be
California, like stealing somebody's airplane and fixing it, and flying it and bringing it back?
Oh,
all I'm saying is it's already illegal. Why are we putting things that are already covered under other definitions of the law?
I don't know, I mean, people steal avionics too,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
you know.
Sometimes, things like this are done simply for the mere fact that it's another hammer.
Okay. Yeah, that was mostly curious. I just saw that and was like, well, that's already illegal. But there,
So don't do it, Jake.
On 14, I just didn't know, I read that one a couple times, before, and it's like, are we saying that we need pilots to be able to display their certificates at all time if requested by the?
That's not required under the FAR unless requested by it.
That's right.
Yeah, so I just don't know if we're, yeah, that's the one I read. 114 is just,
So maybe we just,
again, some operators, it might make sense for the airport manager to be able to ask.
well,
to see.
when I was flying charter, I always showed my
Sure.
credentials to.
Well, I think 14 really should apply to commercial.
Yeah, that's probably.
It's not.
Yeah,
As a pilot, I don't need to legally show any of you my pilot's license.
That's what the definition is commercial. 1.43 is, says commercial.
Yeah, but that 5.14 doesn't say that,
It does not.
so it should.
Okay,
Because
Yeah.
a commercial operator
But
has
the
to.
definition of operator is commercial in our instance.
that's right.
okay, got it. 19. 5.20, Derek and Tammy both asked whether the special events permitting is done by Parks and Rec or the airport general manager, or who for the special event permit. Who do we refer to?
Right, like the youth camp.
Well-
What is a special event? It's not defined anywhere,
It's not.
Well, it is under city ordinance, I think, but,
not here.
yes, Ron, we are in the city. So,
We need to.
so I don't know, but the question is, who do they have to talk to get this special event permit?
And it's vague. Certain events may require.
Well, I mean, it's like, for example, the Chamber of Commerce event from last year, I think it was, had to ask for special permission to serve alcohol. That kind of thing is a special event at the airport. It's not the usual kind of thing.
True.
So,
How about if we have a hangover party?
well,
Is that a special event?
that's not a public event,
True.
so.
I'll
So
go
what's
ahead
the-
and I'll look into what else we can do to flesh this out. I will say that, the city does have a special event permitting process, but the question is, based on what I'm hearing is, someone has a business meeting at the airport, is that a special event? And I would contend, as long as it's contained, probably not. But it's once we start bleeding outside of the area, or into the fenced area, is kind of how I'm gonna put it, that becomes
Yeah.
a different situation.
I mean, if somebody has. a
Or
business
if it
meeting-
impacts airport operations.
Yeah, if somebody has a business meeting in the pilot's lounge, that's perfectly.
Well,
okay.
if you have a hangar party in your hangar, that's should not be a.
yeah, like Scott used to do like the cooking pancakes thing and invite the tenants and people from the community. Is that a special event?
I wouldn't think
Yeah,
so.
I think
If it's a public
if
event,
it's a public event, I think is a special event. It's a private event in your hangar.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
Well,
We should probably clarify that.
You can bring on the hanger.
but I can imagine a private event that would need.
No question.
To be honest, I think this is a whole separate policy. This is a reference to something that would need even more effort, because if every weekend Bob is having a rave at his hangar, that's probably not gonna go over very well. So
Well, I think, if the city, if the city already has a definition of special events for other events in the city, might be good to just reference that, and then that's an easy way to do it. Then we don't have to define it because it's already been defined by the city elsewhere.
Yep, that's what I've got the note in there. I'll go look at it.
Okay,
And I don't know if we have something on file somewhere also, but I don't think so.
okay, the next note I have is on trash and other waste containers. Apparently we don't have a real burning problem and, Doug, you made the comment, no, it wasn't, it was Derek. You said, do we have lockable covers on trash cans and
We
that
don't.
kind of stuff? We don't. So do we need to? And do we have a burning problem, Melissa, or is this another one of those ones where if we don't have it, we might, so we have to keep it?
We don't have a what problem? What's the word?
Burning, trash burning or something.
Well,
we
it's
don't
not
have-
allowed, first of all,
Yeah.
under these rules. So,
So just leave it.
yeah,
Okay,
Well, what about securely fastened lids? None of the dumpsters at the airport have securely fastened lids, and I don't think your city waste department has those.
I'm trying to reread this, guys. Give me a second.
What line is it on?
It's the page.
The middle?
it's page 19.
5.22. Yeah, but where in the whole paragraph?
It's in the fourth from the
About
bottom in that
1, 2,
paragraph.
Okay.
Fourth from the bottom of the
Yeah.
paragraph.
The security fastened lids.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it means the lid's gotta be fastened at least on one side with a hinge or something. Is that what it means?
Well, I can tell you what Lifestar does, they put a bungee cord over it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean locked. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't mean locked.
Yeah, it's just securely fastened.
But none of the lids are.
It's not supposed to fly.
Yeah, I mean, what Lifestar does is they have a bungee cord to hold it in. So, that's,
Okay,
if that's
And it
okay,
goes-
that's good.
It goes back to safety, and I guess if
Yeah,
it's a dumpster, the dumpster's not gonna go flying unless there's a tornado. But a lid off of a standard trash container that you would buy at Home Depot could fly under very limited circumstances. So, you know, I can look into what we have out at the airport, but as we have the same problem downtown, our dumpsters are only as good as the people who close them. So,
Well, but the issue with dumpsters, Melissa, which is relevant at the airport, especially around helicopter operations, it's not the dumpster or the lid. If the lid's not securely fastened, the stuff inside the dumpster from a helicopter rotor wash ends up everywhere.
have we had that problem?
Aren't there? Yes, Lifestar has, which is why we did the
Fence around the dumpster? Isn't there a fence around the dumpster?
That wouldn't do anything,
For our need for motor wash.
yeah,
Lifestyle apparently does.
okay,
I have good comment.
well,
yeah,
this gives me the opportunity to work with people on what fasten needs to be, because, you know, inside your hangar, a lid, probably just because you don't want
Good
stuff
commission.
crawling into it, but, on the other side of things, there's other reasons. So,
okay,
Back on 520, Tammy texted me, we have quite, fairly regularly, not maybe every year, done Girl Scout events and more than one troop comes out to Tammy's hangar. And Jake's dad and Al have helped us out with that. So that's that whole line of hangars. That's probably a public event, is it, with Girl Scouts and parents? So we would need partners for that, huh? Here,
I don't know.
there's one right over there.
Only if the cops come.
Well,
We're not giving the girls beer or
is it impinging on airport operations in any way? And I would say
I
no.
don't think so, but it is public. You guys were earlier saying public, so that's why Tammy wanted me to bring it up. Yeah, we do. And it's just another example of clarifying.
Okay, I'm just gonna say expand and clarify.
Yeah.
Oh, wouldn't the public event be an event that anybody's invited to?
Yeah,
Oh, I see what you mean. Girl
Yeah.
Scouts are invited, so it's not totally public.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Then I have a comment from Tammy on 5.23 about if we're gonna keep to this in terms of people using roadways and walkways, we need a sidewalk someplace.
Yep.
So
There's sidewalks.
that's totally aside from what 5.23 says. It just means we need to look at access to the terminal from various places, I guess.
On 523 also had a question about automobile access to the hangar area.
I think that's discussed later.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's covered later. So, and don't worry, you can park your car in your T.
Too late.
Yeah. Anything else on page 19? We're a third, almost 40% through. Okay. Page 20 has 2 lines up. Has anybody got anything to say? Okay. Okay, page 21, security and safety. We are apparently getting an airport safety program, right, Melissa? Yes?
Yep, you're muted.
Yes, ma'am. I was shaking my
Okay.
head, but then I realized I needed to talk.
Okay, so that's in progress. I have no notes on page 21, so who wants to talk? Jake?
Only thing I brought up earlier was we called that restricted area earlier.
Okay, so we need, okay, I'll just put down terminology. Anybody else?
I didn't have.
Okay.
We did have a comment online to maybe call it unauthorized area.
Yeah.
So
Okay, I'll write
that's
that
something
down.
I'll look into. I don't know that that's gonna cause us any problems, but
Okay, I've got that noted too. Page 22. And I'm sure there's gonna be some comment on 6.3 security access. And the main comments seem to be, okay, right now you just have to punch the button. Eventually, we're all gonna be getting, what is it, cards or buttons or something?
well, in our world at the city, we call them saltos. And they're a badge.
Okay,
And we can do them with or without pictures. But it's something that we would like to do because it provides us information also on when the gate is down or something wouldn't be working. So it'll help us with maintenance as well. And also just will allow us to enable perhaps quicker shut and close because right now there's a heck of a delay. So
yeah,
but it would also be on like I know between the terminal and Hetrick's building there, and Lloyd can tell you this, but there's also a gate that opens and closes there. So those are the types of places where we would put in this access, and it's something we use across the city for a whole variety of us to access different parts of our secured facilities.
There's a man gate like that also.
Yeah.
on the west side of the airport, right?
Yep.
Right adjacent to the KU hangar as well.
Yep.
and isn't
So-
there one so that people have access also to the terminal from the ramp after hours?
Yep.
So I don't know how that would work either. Those, yeah,
What you, I mean, I think the security is a good idea, Melissa.
Mhm.
We're gonna have to figure out how to deal with Lifestar.
Yep.
Because they're inside and they have a lot of people. They have a lot of people that come there for one shift and are never there again. They
Yep.
have regular deliveries by FedEx and UPS. And so
Yep.
we have to figure out how to deal
And
with
we
that.
have ways to handle that already because
Yeah.
again,
Just-
running the
just-
city, yep, just so you know, we have ways to handle all that.
Yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up because we do have those issues there.
Yep.
To deal with.
well, and this would not take effect. Once the city votes on the final version of this, there would be a grace period to get all of this.
Yeah, that's not, I just brought those up so that.
Yeah, no, I
Those are
understand.
things that need to be.
Yeah,
Yep, no,
because
figured out.
those are
Yeah.
particular things, especially with
Yeah.
Lifestar.
Yeah.
Question, please.
Yes,
So would that mean that to get into the hangar area, you'd have to have a badge?
yes,
So if we had friends
So-
coming out to fly, then
you'll have to badge them in.
You can't blend your toes with
You
this.
can't lend it.
So they'd have to follow us in it.
You'd have to follow it or you'd have to meet them at the gate.
Provided here.
635 says you can escort an unauthorized vehicle.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Hangar.
yeah.
yeah.
Now, obviously, this is
This is nothing that is traumatic at any airport I've ever flown out besides this one. I mean, I flew out of 2 gated airports that I had to have either a passcode or a card to get into, and you had to wait until the gate closed behind you or the airport cops would come after you. And I'm sure it's true on military bases too. So, you know.
About our transients and coming, loading and unloading, the KU bus bringing the backhoe. I mean, we've got people coming and going off the exit.
That's really more of an issue.
people driving onto the ramp, apron, to load and unload.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, you're gonna, I mean, the way.
then the airport manager or fixed base operator is gonna have to escort them, that's all there is.
Well, you're gonna have to have also the doors from the terminal to the ramp are gonna have to have badge access then also.
Yeah.
And then the way that's done at most FBOs, the FBO lady or person.
Has a buzzer.
Has a
Yeah,
button
well,
on, so.
that's gonna be up to the city when they do
Yeah,
that.
it depends on it. I mean, we can make it super secure or we can make it secure enough. And you can do all that, but do you need to do all that?
That's a
an issue.
question.
That's an issue.
So,
City that we can decide to do. I mean, I think the big issue is vehicles.
It is.
For our airport, people aren't that a big an issue, but maybe it is. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to do that, but we just have to
any
think about that.
transient who doesn't understand that, hasn't been flying very much at a lot of airports, so that is not a big.
Not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
We just have to go, how far do we want to go with that?
I will leave.
Because there's costs associated.
I will leave that to Melissa's security consultant to figure that out.
I suppose
Well,
this-
we'll be back to talk about it again, guys. I hope you understand that, my goal here is, again, iterative processes where we work to get things to a certain step, come back again, and we're gonna keep working at it. And, nothing's ever perfect. But if we can get it close enough and then we adjust as we need to, that's the goal I've got here. And clearly when we have our new airport manager, they'll be able to, have more focus on a day-to-day to respond to stuff. But I think right now what we're trying to do is get a basic standard of care set up for our airport. When it comes to security, is it going to be perfect with the terminal? No. But I do have questions about who should actually be driving on the apron. Are we doing that because it's something we've always done, or is it something that most other airports wouldn't allow? And we maybe need to reconsider how we work.
Jake has a question.
This is not necessarily on the rules, but more out of curiosity. Is there going to be like, do you have any idea of what requirements you're going to have to meet to be provided gate access? Do you have to be renting a T hangar? Do you have to have an airplane on the airport? What is are T hangar owners going to be able to acquire more than one? I guess it's kind of just curiosity more than anything in the rules.
We'll just want to know who it is and what they're doing. And then if we show up out there and we're having some issues, again, all of this goes back to not how the normal person doing the right things functions. It's when I end up with the person that's not doing the right thing, and then do I have some recourse to be able to address it? So we may never use some of this stuff for the next 20 years, or I may have to use it tomorrow. And I think that's kind of where we're at. So it's not meant to be, I think what we're trying to do is try to get people the access that need it because they're going to be using a plane. And then anybody else that's not related or affiliated to actually using airport operations, meaning using the airport for flying, probably doesn't need access all the time. Unless they're a delivery driver, one of the other exceptions that we've talked about.
It's nothing but.
Well, let's say that.
Hopefully you guys will help renters get the badges.
That doesn't happen at any.
Right now, I can drive around out there. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Why do you want me out there?
No, I've been at a number of airports where I'm a renter. I don't get a badge.
Oh, interesting.
It's all up to the FBO to do it,
Mhm.
to badge, to buzz people in.
Oh, I see. Well,
You don't get
easier.
Assuming we get to that security level, we'd have to bundle them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
There are other airports like Lee Summit where you have to know the AWAS frequency.
Oh,
and that's the code to the gate.
well, I go to airports where they'll put on the keypad, squawk VFR or
Tower.
tower or AWAS or something.
That's like, they're secure enough.
That is secure.
Don't know anything about aviation.
You would never figure it out.
If we put that kind of security on all the gates, that all the access points to the airport operations area, except the doors out of the terminal, that's then the risk of you could have a member of the public walk into the terminal.
Not exactly the front lines.
Well, they're gonna have to make the doors possible.
Yeah,
Well, they don't have to, it just depends, how far do you wanna go?
Exactly.
And that's, Melissa needs to decide that, because all of it costs money.
Not bad.
This is true.
Luckily, this is one of the less expensive things
Pretty-
Melissa can do.
Pretty.
Yeah, security is not a bad thing.
Not only does it
No, I
cost
know.
money, it impedes normal activity to a certain extent. And that's the question is, how much do we want to cause a disruption in activity?
Okay. Can I go to page 23 now?
Yes.
Okay.
We've got all kinds on this one.
Okay, well, there's all kinds of stuff going on here. The first comment I got from numerous people is, let's leave it to the NTSB about moving airplanes. And the authority about moving an airplane after an accident, I believe, resides with the NTSB and not
FAA.
the FAA,
FAA.
NTSB, but not an airport manager.
Right.
They're gonna figure out when it should be moved. So I don't know if we can do that. To me, especially, I mean, maybe in an incident, the airport general manager can do this, maybe. But if it's an accident, I don't think any airport manager can do that. So I think that's one for your legal folks.
It really ought to be the FAA.
Yeah, that's
definition.
what Tim says here too.
Well, and honestly, I should have updated that. So as you can see, I don't have my little thumb mark on there. And so
Okay.
I will take care of that. But I
Okay.
believe the comment was added on September 3rd, which was late
Oh, I
last
see.
week.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that I didn't catch it, but
Okay, well, that's fine.
That's good.
All right, so.
Clancy,
Yes,
Clancy, if I could add, many
Sure.
times that messaging to the aircraft owner operator is conducted through the airport or representative of the airport. Many times the aircraft owner operator pilot is not able to have direct contact with either FAA or
Oh, sure.
NTSB.
Sure.
So sometimes that approval to go ahead and proceed with the removal of the aircraft or movement of the aircraft or anything on the scene is given through the airport, because the airport's usually then in contact with the FBO or whoever is going to move the airplane,
okay,
or the aircraft owner. So there is a role for the airport general manager or designee
okay.
to
Oh,
be
yeah,
involved.
I figured there was a role and they definitely need to know about it for sure.
I
So,
already fixed it in the way that I'm seeing it is just from after the word airport manager in that first sentence that it says or designate, it should say or designee. And that is in coordination with the FAA.
okay. 7.1.3, I've got numerous comments about disabled aircraft being removed within 30 minutes. I guess it's kind of the same question.
In 30 minutes, you can only figure out, you don't have to, 30 minutes, all you've got time to is sort of figure out what you might.
And get the ambulance.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
let's just talk about a flat tire.
Yeah, no, let's not, Ron.
Well,
I get the point.
30 minutes is,
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
expeditiously, yes.
I
So
installed an engine on the taxiway and it took me more than half an hour to get it off too. So I don't know about the 30 minutes thing.
If a
Yeah.
Gulfstream lands at the airport as a flat tire, the airport's gonna be shut down for several days.
Yeah.
Well,
And you don't.
Well, you gotta move fast.
They'll bring somebody in, but it's gonna be hours. It'd be a half a day or better. But it could be a full day.
Okay, under 7.
So
ahead.
Tim, what do I do with 1713? You want me to just delete it?
You can
Or-
delete it, or you can also add, or is determined otherwise by the airport general manager. So
Okay.
that would provide some coordination between the aircraft operator and the airport as to what that time would be. This is usually found at airports that are extremely busy, a lot of flight training, a lot of activity. So I agree with the comments. It takes time. It does take time. Even a flat tire, on on a runway. But I think it's your local decision to decide, I mean, with basically the one primary runway is how expeditious you want that to occur. I think there's room for some discretion and discussion or agreement between the aircraft operator and crew, pilot in command, and the airport general manager, if that's to be agreed to be extended.
Yeah, and then the other one on 714 is the liability. So city starts moving an airplane, you can do millions of dollars of damage to an airplane if you don't do it the right way. And the city starts moving an airplane, they're gonna be liable even if they say they're not. So I think you might as well just take that one out.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear which one you're referring to.
714. I mean, the city doesn't want to get in the business of moving somebody's airplane. Or even directing that, because as soon as you direct that, you've got the liability. And it's very easy to do millions of dollars of damage to an airplane if you don't do it the right way. A 172, no, that's easy. But Gulfstream, my airplane, for example, King Air 350, you got to just try to move that. You
I
can use a
understand.
lot of money.
It would be any airplane could get damaged.
Right, exactly.
I would be willing to take a 10-minute break if anybody needs it right now. I would, but
That's a good idea.
you want to keep going, Dave? I'll just stand up for a minute. Okay. All right. All right, Kathleen, you're out of luck.
No, I don't. No.
You're stuck.
It's a way to keep us moving.
Okay, other comments?
I have no idea. I have one better from
Aircraft assembly, where can people do that? Presumably, if you get permission from that.
It seems like you can do it or in hangars, because we talked earlier about, PAA type people building.
And aircraft cleaning,
Oh, I have thoughts
yeah,
about
every
it.
has got problems with that. Biodegradable soap does not clean grease and oil off an airplane.
Spraying kind of works. We used to use that.
So I don't know what,
And elbow grease.
yeah. And
What are
I
these?
guess before this one goes any further, we have a stormwater plan for the airport that's just been finalized. We'll share that with you guys, hopefully at our next meeting. It's called a SWIP by terminology. They're required federally. So we work with on that. Tim can jump in, but we do have, under federal law, a requirement to try to keep things out of the waterways of the US, just to kind of go real big on you. And that's why it's important that we, work on this in a way where it's being contained into a trap or something. So just a second, I've got a dog.
okay, is this
wanting out.
targeted then to someplace like where we have an airplane wash or something like that, so that the effluent could go into a drain someplace? That I agree we wouldn't use any kind of solvent on, but if I'm just using a spray on solvent on the bottom of the barren or the bottom of the cow flaps for the cows,
Right.
I'm gonna have to use something besides, glycerin soap.
No, I hear you.
Do we have, I've really never noticed, do we have an area that's designated?
Not that I
No, I
No.
don't think we do.
We allow it there by our hangar to get a valve block that the people come out and use.
And does that have
Like me.
an appropriate drainage area?
It just flows out on the ground.
Yes, some
Okay.
airports have a wash.
Yeah.
area.
Yeah,
That's the only thing we got as far as picking on the field.
okay.
Where is it?
Well, and that's perhaps an improvement we can talk to
Yeah.
Carver about.
Maintenance.
Yeah, it would require
There's a garden hose.
a drain or something.
That's good enough. No, it's
Okay,
And that would be a good idea.
Will be a good idea, Mr.
A wash
A
area.
wash
an
area,
airplane wash area.
a designated airplane wash area.
Contain all
Yeah,
the.
that way you can,
Many
you gotta have a sewer trap.
Yeah.
There's appropriate sewer trap.
Okay. Aircraft maintenance and repair, I bet there are a few comments
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Most of them center on what about the T hangar leases that allow for it?
Yeah.
And preventive maintenance only, well, sometimes that's not what you're doing, especially if you're an A&P,
And what
like
about
several people are.
for home builders?
Or home builders. I got that down too.
Right,
So,
right. It's too restrictive, right?
I think that part, 7.4.1 may be too restrictive. Unless the T hangar tenants can get special permission.
My recommendation for 7.4.1 is hangar tenants can do any maintenance that they're qualified to do. Period. That allows repairmen, it allows A&Ps, so if I own my airplane, I can do my own maintenance. And that should be allowed.
Yeah, there's a whole part of the FAA.
That's
that you
right.
could-
If you're just a pilot, all you can do is preventive maintenance on the FARs. But if you're a mechanic, you can do the whole thing.
Well, can I ask why just tenants, why just T hangar tenants? Like if I'm thinking about somebody flies in and something's wrong with the airplane, they need to sit out there and fix it.
Well, I think we don't want people to do annuals on the ramp. I think the intent of this was to stop people from maintaining airplanes on the ramp.
Sure.
That's appropriate in my mind.
I
Park it there for a month.
Yeah,
Right.
doing small preventative maintenance on the ramp is, I think is okay, because that's something that, you can do.
Right.
But maintenance and other stuff on the ramp is inappropriate, but hangar tenants should be able to do what they're qualified to do.
Well, and then you alluded to this, but couldn't A&P mechanics be included here? Do we have to specifically say mechanics?
Why don't we say anything that you're qualified
That's
to
all,
do?
that's all required,
Okay.
because I know at least
That'd be a
3 already.
I would have Tim chime in on this one, because I know that he and I did talk about this. He's available.
Yep.
This is.
This is always, I think you all are touching on the areas that this needs to address. And the first is that, yes, aircraft owners, operators do have that ability to perform that Part 43 maintenance and repair. And I think the good point is brought up as far as if that owner pilot is a fully certificated, A&P, then yes, can be performing maintenance on his or her aircraft. I think the part that these sections always want to take care of is that nobody is running a commercial shop out of the T hangars. That is not already under agreement, because that's a different level of use of electricity, different level of activity going on there. And so, but if you are an A&P, you should be able to perform your own annual and your aircraft in your hangar, but you're not bringing in somebody also, a gypsy mechanic, to come in and do it without a written agreement with the city.
And you're not running
heading-
a non-based aircraft or one that wasn't registered to that hangar to be doing that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
appropriate.
if you
I agree.
can't bring an A&P mechanic to your hangar, I'm looking at 7.4.2 now. It says only owners of such aircraft. So the owner couldn't bring in a mechanic to help.
No,
You can bring in your mechanic, but mechanic needs to be licensed and have an operating agreement with the
with the
city
city,
of
I
Lawrence.
see. Okay.
So
But you could do that if the mechanic hasn't.
if they have a certificate of the city.
Yeah, I'm saying like if your plane breaks and you can't fly it to your mechanic needs to.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
But they would have to be certified with their license or
But
whatever.
this does just say only by the owners of.
Right, yeah, I was gonna say, that's not what it says, I guess.
Right,
It doesn't say that right now,
it does not.
so.
So is there a threshold of activity below which it's permitted to have somebody come in and, for example, do a prop balancing on your plane? Or a minor repair of some kind
Oil change, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, we can do that.
Sure, but-
without obtaining a permit or a license, I guess is what.
I don't know. Melissa?
the test becomes, is that, are you bringing somebody in for hire? Are you paying them? Again, that gets back to, you have an FBO on the airport that has a lease agreement with the city, and is, other mechanics are allowed to come in and get paid, but not under any type of license agreement or lease agreement. They're the gypsy mechanic. They're coming in and undercutting that fixed base operator that is a tenant of the airport over time. But yes, you can bring that person in, but are you paying that person to help you with that repair or that oil change? Oil change is a Part 43 activity.
All maintenance is Part 43 activity.
We understand that.
All maintenance is
We know
Part
that.
43.
Well,
But
Part
it
43 is intended to be the owner operator allowed
That's
maintenance.
only one paragraph of Part 43.
Okay, let me just ask this. What if I don't do my maintenance with the fixed base operator? And my mechanic is coming up from another airport. Does that mechanic, to do whatever maintenance I want, an oil change or something minor, have to have a license with the city?
Yes, that's what
Okay.
they just told me.
Okay.
That's what this says.
Yeah.
Okay,
So like I've paid somebody to come and like clean my airplane, vacuum it and, shampoo the carpets and all that type of stuff. They would now have to have a whole certificate with. the
apparently,
city.
I don't think that's maintenance.
But if the driving factor is.
Yeah, if the driving is
they're
paid.
making money
Yeah.
at the airport.
Whether, I guess,
Through the airport.
I agree, I don't think it's made to do this, but I think it still falls into
okay,
this.
It was
I don't know if
made
that's-
See,
too restrictive.
the intent of that lease agreement or license agreement is to make sure that operator comes in, has the qualifications, has the insurance coverages too, that protects the customer, also protects the city from any general liability, property damage, or personal injury. So that's getting, then your next step is your commercial minimum standards, allowing for that activity to happen, and allow those other operators to come in onto the airport and do business for hire for commercial gain.
okay. Shall we go on page 24? I have a note that 7.5.1, point 2, and point 3 are basically the federal aviation
Yeah.
regulations, according to Doug Tillman. So aren't we already operating under the FARs? Why do we need to repeat it?
Should operate under the FAA.
Yeah, there
You
you
just say yourself.
go. The FARs.
You don't even have to say that. You can't legally operate an airplane without following the force.
Yeah, we understand that.
You don't
I
even.
understand that. So I don't know. That's just a question for that. I don't have any other notes on page 24. Does anybody else? Okay.
7.5.4 experimental flights and flight test. I guess, what exactly are they driving at here? What is this trying to prevent?
What is experiment? What do they
Well,
mean
then
by-
we get to Willem's thing too, the flight tester drone demo.
Experimental
have to
flights
get
are not defined anywhere. If you're gonna say experimental
That's
flights,
that's my question.
Well, flight test.
technically every home-built airplane is an experimental flight.
And the first flight.
I think this is one where Tim could weigh in on this.
Thanks, Melissa.
It's
This is,
probably-
I think, intended not to be to cover that experimental aircraft flight. Yes, experimental aircraft that are home built and have that rating. It's not intended to make them ask for written permission for each flight that they would normally be taking. But I think it is for that area of flight test or ground demonstrations that are unique. Let's say an advanced air mobility company contacts the city of Lawrence and contracts to base and do flight test work for an advanced air mobility aircraft between the Lawrence Regional Airport and Kansas City International just as a flight test basis or just wants a flight test on the airport. It is to enable the city to then provide for that permission to do so, and then take care of all those special conditions that are needed to accommodate the flight test. So it's intended to enable that operator to obtain the written permission, but also gain the support needed from the city, from the airport management team, as far as their flight test activities. So those activities are successful.
Okay, so we're gonna require Garmin to come and put an agreement together with the airport because Garmin Flight Test very regularly uses our airport for experimental flight operations to check radios, systems, autopilots, all of that stuff.
That's a different type of operation. This would be an aircraft.
I disagree with you, Tim. It's an experimental operation. If you're gonna define, I happen to know this because I've been experimental flight test for the past 50 years. That's what I do.
Right.
And
Right.
it's very, very different than what you just described.
Mhm.
And so if what Tim is describing, if we want, then we need to define it.
Okay, so we need to work on this.
Yep.
Yep.
And I
Big time.
think there are two things we need to do. It needs a better definition. And we need to specify that it does not apply to based experimental aircraft. And we need to add an example so that it's very clear.
That's a good.
We should just get rid of it.
Just get rid of
I'm still not understanding. Maybe, Tim, maybe you can,
Well,
we don't go too deep, but I don't understand his example he was giving of what.
well, for example, the one thing that I can give you an example for is I have been in and out of the Leadville Airport several times, more times than I ever want to say. And the Army and the Air Force have done helicopter flight tests at that airport because it is at 9,997 feet NSF.
All right.
So that is an example of the kind of thing that would, they're testing the aircraft in a specific situation. So I can see where a good example would really help this out. So I don't want to argue about what these
We
things.
will work
mean.
on this.
I think we
and
need
get
to
it
work
back.
on. Okay,
Yeah.
Melissa, I've spent the last 50 years doing experimental flight tests. Why don't you bring me in with that? We can work something that'll workable.
Yeah,
We've
sounds good. We
operated-
can work with
yeah.
you and Tim. I know that a lot
I
of,
think that would be helpful. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of us
Okay,
is
you
trying
guys
to
work
like
on that.
open us up to not be closed.
Yeah,
okay.
that's right.
Anybody else? on
Yes,
this?
I'm just gonna
Okay.
mention, those experimental flights, you need the city's permission if they're gonna need a fire truck perhaps.
Yeah, that's a good.
There-
That's
there-
great example.
Yes,
There are reasons when you want the city's permission.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Anything?
we'll work on that.
Okay, anything else on page 24? Thank you, Ron. I think that'll be helpful. Okay, page,
759, again, is an FAA, anybody that is violating the FAR, so I don't think we need to have 759 in there, because that's
Okay.
really what that
I
is.
got it down.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Okay, going on page 24, Ron. Okay,
I have nothing in 25.
okay. Page 25, the only thing I have on this is from Derek Rogers, and he says, on 7.7 tie downs, rules and regulations, who's in charge? So I'm gonna leave that up to the airport will have to, or Melissa will have to come up with in the minimum operating standards, how that goes, but the airport reserves the right. So I don't have any comment other than what Derek had to say about it.
I have a couple comments, just
Yes.
on 7.7.4. Is will the same as must?
Oh, shall.
I don't know, shall, I know is different.
Ask a lawyer.
Ask a lawyer, legal.
Well, see, I was just wondering about that will right there. And then,
Shall.
Yeah, Lloyd, you had a question that you asked me about. I think the parking is, like big airplanes, you don't tie down. You don't tie down on the Gulfstream and you don't tie down an MU2, they're just not going anywhere, but you need to properly, and it says just properly secured. And I think that covers what you and I talked about.
Okay,
On 7.9, is there's a designated
we
area?
haven't at 7.9 yet.
We're still on page 25.
7.9 is?
No.
No, it's 26.
Oh,
We're still on
okay,
page
it's,
25.
sorry,
It's not bad.
sorry,
You
you're
jumped
right.
ahead.
I have jumping ahead.
Yeah, I had to keep track of this, yeah.
No, I know, but I'm looking at my notes too, and the
Well,
resolution's different.
Well, okay. Any more on page 25? Okay, page 26, airworthiness. I think 7.8 needs a whole lot of discussion.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree.
Because there are airplanes that it takes, I mean, like,
Years.
I've taken 2 years to get a specific part.
I think Doug Tillman gave a really good example. You gotta change your engine. Sometimes it takes you a year to get the part.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, now, I
90 days.
think what we're getting, I think the intent of this, which is a good intent, we don't want derelict airplanes parked at the airport. That's the intent. Okay. So I think that we need to figure out how to word that.
This needs better wording to accommodate when people are waiting for parts or when the airplane's been damaged and.
Or if it's in a hangar,
Yeah,
Yeah. On the ramp is, in my opinion, is a different story than parked in a hangar.
okay.
You know, there are airports that have people operating businesses that build airplanes, that restore airplanes. They have airplane carcasses sitting there for 50 years that they're salvaging parts from, or just waiting to restore. Do we really want to rule that out permanently?
I don't know, I think I could do that.
Would it be easier to simply leave this up to, instead of saying in excess of 90 days, say something that's, like an unreasonable period of time and leave it up to the judgment of the airport manager? And then you can appeal it should you need to. I get that, like, that leaves it very loose-ended, but then you're not saying, okay, well, you got 90 days to fix your plane and get airborne and get approved for
Didn't
test flight.
Eurotech for a long time have a whole bunch of
They still
helicopter
do.
cars
They still do.
there, and see,
They
that's
still
what
They
they.
still do.
They still do.
Yeah.
They still do.
But I think they have them all, well, they had them all.
I've got my Christian Eagle in the hangar and it's been
Oh, I didn't know.
worked on for the past 2 years.
Okay,
Those are pretty.
okay,
Stagger wing in the
I
hangar.
guess I would have Tim chime in on this. I see he's unmuted. But you know, we don't want to become a junkyard. And so
Agree.
we want people who are wanting to use aircraft and do the intended purpose of our, you know, national air system and not just become literally a storage shed for parts and pieces. So
2 comments, Melissa. I think number one, I think the group sees the intent, not having a derelict, abandoned aircraft, essentially, you know, and especially in a T hangar. It's my understanding there is a T hangar waiting list, and a lot of airports have the issue of, you know, somebody who just is not going to get that aircraft airworthy, and it's a tough situation sometimes when it comes down to they can't get that aircraft airworthy, but there's usually a T hangar waiting list and people waiting with an airworthy aircraft to get into a T hangar. And so this is involved, but I think this can be, if you all look at this and maybe consider or otherwise agreed to with the city, or could be a written agreement with the city to extend, or for that circumstance where somebody needs that 1 year. It's a great point. Those
And
engines.
we don't want to be in a mother may I situation.
no, let's just,
And there's a difference between T hangars, which the city owns and leases, and
Mhm.
private hangars. There are private
Mhm.
hangars on the airport, and that's a different case.
let's
Right.
leave the T hangar issue to the discretion of the airport general manager.
Yeah.
and I'm just
I
saying
think-
also ramp, apron, those kind of
Oh,
places.
ramp and apron,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
We don't want, I mean,
Still want to abandon them.
I've seen airplanes that sit around for years like that. Yeah, okay, let's work on that a little bit,
Yeah.
okay, I'm sure somebody has something to say about engine run-ups.
Well,
Is there a designated area?
I was gonna, my question, I'm like, what's the technical
Yeah.
area?
We don't have one.
Okay,
I-
I'm just curious, I'm like, I just never knew.
It does specify earlier that these engine run-ups are not related to prior to takeoff.
Talking about maintenance, talking about maintenance.
Well, Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and,
don't put it in your hangar.
Yes.
yes, I mean, when you're doing maintenance or experimental operations, which we do, you gotta go to high power. We don't do it in front of a hangar. You do it somewhere. Would it be a good idea to have a designated area? Yes,
But we don't have,
but we don't have one.
we don't have a designated run-up area.
And I don't think, I think we don't need that.
Well, everybody can be respectful. There are places you can go where you're not gonna blast somebody.
It is kind of the.
I think 70.9 is actually worded not too bad.
I just think we should say instead of designated area, a safe area or something like that, but designated, since we don't have an actual designated area. so we
Okay.
should just get rid of.
I think
Safe.
Doesn't mean that we can't. I'll ask Garver.
I think,
Okay.
I think actually 7.9 is worded pretty good. You know, it says,
Don't blast.
Okay.
don't blast people, do it
Yeah.
in a reasonable place, and that works, I think.
Seems like a nice
Reason.
thing to do, right?
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
Reasonable is fine.
Reasonable's a good word,
Yeah.
Ron.
reasonable.
Okay, do we have on 7.10 a noise abatement plan?
Nor are we likely to have one.
No, you can tell this came from a model.
Yeah,
And the other thing, as soon as you talk about calm runways and 5 knots, yeah, a lot of airports have this. My opinion, you're setting yourself up for liability because, I'm gonna do a 5 knot takeoff, tailwind landing because that's what the airport said. And then because of that, I ran off the end of the runway. Guess who I'm gonna be suing? The airport.
I'm not gonna,
So that's not a good idea, my opinion.
Your problem is the 5 knots or less.
Yes.
We also said this needs to be amended in the chart stuff or the.
yeah,
I don't think we have need for a calm runway. We don't have a noise abatement.
Well, traditionally, it's 3-3,
yeah.
but that's not.
But why?
Well, because it's got the ILS.
Because it's the closest place to taxi to. Yeah.
Well,
See, but
it has to be 3-3 or
So
5.
what's wrong with that?
I think take 7.10 out.
I
think
say
we
not, I say we leave it in and take out the noise abatement plan.
Oh, I already cut that.
Okay, good. Well, it doesn't.
Because
show it
that
on-
is a special thing that you have to do through the FAA. And I'm sorry I didn't catch that, but that is a very particular process and frankly, just gotta watch it.
And I take out the,
Tim, is there any reason to leave in 5 knots or any of that?
I don't think you have to leave in the 5 knots or less. I think it's a preferred calm wind runway, I think says it, the preferred calm wind runway is, and then
it's
it's,
a pilot's discretion.
It says
Yeah.
preferred, it's not
Yeah.
mandatory.
Yeah.
They never are.
In practice, the preferred calm wind runway is 3-3.
That's what I said.
And there's nothing in the airport facility directory about calm winds.
Oh, you just looked. Okay. Cool.
Okay, 7-11, I have nothing on the rest of the
I
paper.
would take the very last sentence out of 7.11.
Make a note and let them figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
I suppose that's what they can't. You have.
Okay, so 7.12 is kind of obvious, but I think that we need to designate those areas on the,
That'll be on the
on
map.
That should be
ALP.
on the map.
But then one of the issues is flight instructors. Getting students ready for solo flights. Regularly
Stand outside.
stand outside and get out at the taxiway just before the runway the guy takes off. And that's a good thing. And we don't want to not allow that, my opinion.
Okay, I'll make it a note.
Yeah, so
Okay,
7.13, I have no idea what's good or not good. We need the comments from Lifestar, Hendrick, and Eurotech on 7.13 helicopter operations.
okay.
Katie was on, but she got on.
Okay, the comments I have from Chad are on 7.13.2. Helicopters shall not be operated within 200 feet of any area where light aircraft are parked or operating.
Yes.
Wheeled helicopters can't, apparently he thinks wheeled helicopters should be able to taxi where light aircraft are located. I don't know enough about helicopters to answer that question. And well, he's asking what a light aircraft is. We don't know what that is. Yeah.
Light aircraft is anything under 12,500 pounds.
That's what's in there now, what he could get.
Well, he says he's just got a question about wheeled helicopters.
Yeah.
Not being able to taxi for light aircraft.
Like an R-44.
I guess.
Well, yeah,
I was wondering,
I'll be
200 feet's too far.
100 feet
Or-
with baby, but we bring it in between the hangars like now, and we're not even.
I've seen
like-
you and him bring helicopters in between the hands.
Yeah, so 200 feet's too far.
Big area.
So I don't know what to say about that.
And I know Lifestart lands their helicopter within 40 feet of the building all the
Sure.
time.
Yeah, see,
Oh,
this is like written for a bigger airport.
yeah, I think we need input from the 3 helicopter operators on the field to make this workable. That's my opinion.
And somebody needs to look at the airport diagram to see how far the buildings are.
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
okay. Okay, I'm gonna make a note to confer with them. Melissa, is that okay with you?
Just a second. Yes, I think the other thing is we'll just want to work with Tim on that too, just to make sure.
Okay.
And I didn't get the comments from Chad. If he sent them, it had to have been late.
He did at 4:30. I've got a copy if you
Okay.
want them, and I did send them to you.
Well, as
And
long as
I
I have
responded
them,
to-
that's fine. I just, again, there are a few other folks out there, as was noted, and so,
They're
and I
in
would
your
want to go
e-
through
they're-
those with Tim.
they're in your email box.
Okay, yeah, I was on a meeting for other issues up until,
Yeah.
so.
No, I sent them virtually the same time I got them because I didn't have time to look at them either.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments on page 26?
Yeah, we're prohibiting ultralight aircraft operations. I think we're getting ourselves into FAA grant violations here.
What section are you talking about?
7.14, 7.14.1.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
7.14.1.2.
Got it.
Parachute operation. I think we're getting ourselves into grant violation territory there.
And Sarah, you'd asked about.
I asked her, yeah, because I didn't think there was anything in here about. Oh, there it is, 14.2, yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Okay, so Melissa, I just think we need to look at 7.14 altogether
Yeah.
versus grant compliance.
Banner tolling has been done in Lawrence, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's.
Well, again, this is not something I'm gonna answer, and if Tim has anything he wants to say, but clearly not written with intention of causing problems, so I'll have to understand what that means.
Just from my experience, the FAA does in a set of rules and regulations based upon the determination of the airport owner operator. If determined that ultralight aircraft operations could be imposed on the other activity of the airport, be a detriment to that activity, that yes, ultralight aircraft can be prohibited. And I think in this provision, there is the exception that the person still can propose the activity and can be done without interfering with other aeronautical activities. And I think the concern, I think you all have the ability to make that decision based upon the type of activity you have with the business aircraft, the private aircraft operations, and the helicopter operations, if that's the direction you would like to go. But the FAA will not just unilaterally say that you
I see
can't
you, Tom.
you can't prohibit ultralight aircraft. If you determine that based upon it could be an inconvenience and interfere with other aeronautical activities at your airport.
Okay, and is that same as that also true for parachute?
Well, I guess, yes.
Yeah, we're pretty sensitive to that because we tried to have no parachute operations.
Yeah.
And
I brought that.
the FAA didn't let us do that, so.
Parachute jump area.
Yes, there is. It's
We
on
haven't
the
been able to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the vehicle.
Okay, is that still true for parachute, Tim?
I think you still have that still that determination that
I don't
parachutes,
know why we can't get rid of that. We can't seem to be able to.
the same thing. You can make that determination, but I think this process helps you with that, and that you've gone through a process of adopting rules and regulations that go through the city commission, get adopted by the city commission. Your rules and regulations in the past were just a draft, and that's what the
Yes.
FAA saw, in not going through a process like this.
Yeah.
I guess, again, that interference with your operations that you have today and your future operations is your justification for limiting ultralight operations and parachute drops. The banner glider towing. I think those are things that are special events, special situations that then can be permitted on a case-by-case basis. So you're not
Okay.
completely prohibiting in all cases.
Okay, so what I'm gonna recommend to my opinion is, we need to think about what it is we wanna recommend to the city along these lines, when the next iteration comes out.
Yep.
Okay. Doug, did you have something you want to say? Okay, unless Ron.
No, I'm done.
Okay,
I'm done.
Just,
Uh,
there's no such thing as ultralight aircraft.
I know, we already
Like
talked about
vehicles.
this. We already talked about that. Okay. 27 is just an overflow from
Yeah.
26, so page 28, airport operations area. As Melissa has noted, she's working on getting the card system and whatever else we need to do for gate access organized sometime, probably, Melissa, what, 2026?
I could have it installed by the end of the year, but depends on how this process goes.
Well, I think we need a grace period on it to make sure we've got everybody
I
on.
mean,
on
right
board.
now,
Right, I can
the ALA
install it and not activate it. So again,
Yeah,
the way that
okay.
it currently stands is the same as if, yeah, so
Okay,
I
but
can
it
get it
says,
installed and we will activate it in a timeline. There'll be a grace period and all those kind of things. So
yeah, well, this 8.1, 8.1.2 references airport ground vehicles and runway incursion prevention driving program. And I'm assuming that, I mean, if I'm wrong, that means all of the tenants of the airport would have to go through that program.
it's something that I'm pretty sure, based on what I've seen, there's like out of the box type of videos and things that we can do, but then also we just need to have some sort of document that we adopt or have as a policy to ensure safety.
Yeah, and we have to have a chart too to show where that, all the
Yeah.
areas are.
So this would apply to, you said we can escort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, does anybody else have any comments on page 28?
Yeah.
Yes.
8.2.2. We don't have a control tower. There's no requirement for.
That's all changed, that's been changed.
I'm in version 5 and it's still, you need a radio.
Yeah.
8.2.2 still there. So everybody on the airport, driving on the airport needs that radio.
Well, in the movement area, what's
In the
most
movement
places
area.
defined.
That's the entire airport right now because we haven't defined it.
It's fair. In those states.
Well, we're gonna have a map, Ron.
Yeah. Why do we need radios in the car driving on the airport?
If you're in an operations area, you're gonna need it. If,
So I can fly my airplane to the airport without a radio, but I can't drive a car on the airport without a radio.
if you wanna drive on the runway,
That's what you just said.
not if you wanna drive on the taxiway.
So when can I operate an airplane? So what we're saying is an airplane can operate without a radio. but a
No, I
vehicle
didn't
cannot.
say that, Ron. If you are going to operate in an active operations area, if you wanna drive around on the taxiways in your car, you'd better have a radio. That's what it says, and I think it's a good thing. Thank you.
I have to disagree, but okay.
Well, you do disagree, but.
If I could just help clarify, just, it is the movement area. It is so that any city vehicle or any vehicle that's operating in that movement area does have the ability to communicate with the pilot in the traffic pattern on the CTAF frequency, so that it's a city vehicle going out to do maintenance on a or a contractor's vehicle. Let's say use that vehicle, or the Garver engineer on the airfield. They're announcing their intentions to cross, go from taxiway Charlie and cross the end of the runway over to the east side, west side. They're announcing their intentions on the CTAF so that the pilots know where that ground vehicle is within the movement area, within that safety area within the runway. And that movement area.
This happens at air races all the time. You have to be able to
Like
do
your golf carts.
so.
But this does sound like private cars would need a two-way
They're
radio.
like, right now, the airplane, until we define it, so,
But we
what's
do have
gonna
it
happen-
because people have to be authorized.
Yeah, well,
So-
what's gonna change is because the ALP is gonna define where cars can drive and not run.
Yes.
Under the way it's currently written, it's anything in the fence. But we know that's
Gotta
gonna
get to a
change.
map,
It's
Ron.
gonna change, right?
I want to go back to
Sarah,
8.1.4, recreational use of bikes. What if I want to ride my bike from my hangar to the FBO
You're
use the
okay.
bathroom?
That's
You're
not
okay.
That's not recreational?
no,
Okay.
Well,
Good
it's
question.
not really defined.
Yeah, what is in recreation?
it's aviation related.
We don't have
It stops before you go.
As a mode of transportation, it is okay.
It is. But you can't just use it for exercise.
No,
I wanna
no.
go back around.
Doug Tillman.
822. It seems like the intent is to make sure that people don't drive out on taxiways and runways without announcing what they're doing and being aware of aircraft that are using. It doesn't say that. It just says you have to be capable of communicating. The point is that you should communicate.
Yes.
It doesn't say,
And keep proper radio.
It just says, if you have the radio, it doesn't say you have to use it.
there needs to be a procedure for driving on taxiways and runways.
Well,
That's a good
so
point. It doesn't-
it has to be like who you are, where you are, and what you want to do.
Yeah. It doesn't
If
say.
you are going to drive any place in the active operations area, then you know, move that area.
Just having a radio in your car does no good.
No, I agree
Have it
with
turned
that.
off in
I
the back
think
seat.
there should be language about you have to talk.
Yeah, just tie that into the
Yeah.
runway.
put radios in all your fuel trucks?
No. Do I have them? No, no, you will have to.
Is that
what it's saying?
That's what it says.
Yeah, so we can get handhelds. And have them.
Well, you'd have to have a radio.
But the designated area could be, we're not gonna be on the, other than to and from the west side, we're not gonna be on the taxiway or.
Exactly.
We'll be on-
The issue is from the west side to the central side.
Yeah.
There'll be a map, Ron.
And there's.
Well, I don't really wanna put a radio on my bicycle.
Then
Don't ride my-
don't ride on the taxiways.
It says vehicle, so as long as your bike isn't considered a vehicle.
As long as you're like going to the FBO.
It's not a vehicle.
For import operation.
If you're timing an air race and you're going across a runway in a taxiway, you better have a radio. Okay,
Okay, and you did. There.
yes, we did. Okay, anything else on page 28, Ron?
No, nothing else.
Okay. Jacob?
No.
Okay, page 29. I'm going to lose my voice before you move this. Okay. The notes that I have on this are 8.4.3 in terms of the fee schedule and who collects. What about handicapped access? And in this case, an 8.5, it's okay to park your car in the hangar when your airplane's not there. And then there was one question about parking on the taxi lane that goes on the west side of Eurotech where those cars are all the time, if that will be allowed, and I don't think it would be. So what else?
Yeah, my questions were, so if you aren't flying, go to your G hangar,
It's okay.
you're okay to park?
Yes,
It's
more, yes.
It's expected to walk.
Well, otherwise, we're gonna have a full parking lot
Yeah,
some days.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other question was, yeah, if you are gonna fly, you're expected to either park in your hangar or at the airport, do we meet ADA compliance, which I think we brought
Yes.
up.
Just a minute. Just,
Could that, in some places, could they add just for other designated areas? Because in front of the hangar, the C hangar, there's plenty of room for parking over next to the grass. And a lot of times for people who have difficulty walking, it's tough to push your airplane in and out.
what section are you
It does
talking about?
already say, in those designated areas. So if we have areas we need to designate, we'll designate them with signage.
Okay,
Yes.
so give her what you would suggest on those, okay?
Thank you very much.
On 8.3,
Yes,
I don't, we don't have, I think somewhere maybe it wasn't 8.3, you're supposed to have a title on board, but our fuel trucks are off the road, so they're not. It's 8.3.
Yeah, it's 8.3. It's a valid title.
And then my drivers aren't, I don't know if the trucks are over if you have to have a commercial license, probably do, but that isn't the case, so that needs to be. corrected.
man, I'd be checking on that, Lloyd.
We just need to correct it in here.
Yeah,
He's not operating the vehicles on the highway,
They're not on the
they don't
highway.
need a commercial license.
no,
Okay, so we're good.
That makes sense.
yeah,
But then A3 needs to be modified to allow that.
Yeah.
Because right now he would have to.
Right, it needs to be made clearer at least, yes.
but
Because if Lloyd has to get, if the airport FBO operator operating fuel trucks on the airport has to have licensed commercial operators for those vehicles, his costs have just gone up significantly.
well, it doesn't say that the vehicles have to be licensed. It says
No, but
the
the vehicle
operator.
operators must have a valid
Yeah, so I mean, I would.
You'd
check
have
on
to
that.
pay them more.
Yeah,
and train them and all
Right.
that other
they're gonna be driving big rigs.
stuff.
Okay. Anything else on page 29?
Yes.
All right, page 30. Oh, the only question I have is from Derek Rogers, and he says, how are the gate passes gonna work? And that is TBD, but they're being worked on. So who else has questions on page 30?
I just was wondering about the badges, but we're working.
That'll be whatever it is.
I have a question about 8.6. I think the FBO is gonna have, any FBO is gonna have a problem with that.
That's on the vehicle maintenance, yeah.
This has the carve out in it for permitted uses. Or leases that have those uses.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. Anything else on
Well,
30?
the other thing with vehicle maintenance is you can't clean your car in your hangar. And I can see where, if I've got a hangar, and I clean my car there, that's my airplane is, I want to spend time there, I've got all the cleaning products there. Why shouldn't I be able to clean my car there? What's wrong with that?
Just don't get caught.
Yeah, that's. I mean, seriously. Seriously.
I know.
These airplane people are parking.
Auto, polish and stuff on the wing, so.
I had a vacuum by car in my
Yeah.
head before.
You don't really do that.
And I have done that, yeah.
But it's a matter of creep. So, okay, you can do that. Now, is it okay to do an oil change? What if you need to replace your muffler? What else would you do?
Tire, what
So-
else would-
Yeah.
Okay,
And I guess the question is kind of what's wrong with that?
it's not aviation related, Ron,
Yep, and that's where the grant assurances.
and that is where the grant assurance issue comes in. Okay? Other questions on 30? I'm looking around. Okay, 31. I have no notes on 31.
Yeah, 8711, we need to include, tenant vehicles and, hangar tenant vehicles and their guests to that list,
Oh, yeah, good.
Page 711.
Okay,
And they're escorted guests.
Yeah, that's right.
I may have Tim weigh in on this one. I have some questions about just how much vehicles we really need to leave or allow beyond what's already on this list on the apron or
yeah,
ramps.
this is mostly for the terminal building ramp. Now, I occasionally pull my car to my friend's airplane to unload.
I've done that at thousands of airports
Yeah.
all over the world. It's
But-
expected to be able to pull a
Yeah.
car or rent a car up to the vehicle, up to the airplane to unload people and bags and all that other stuff. That's done at every airport in the world. I've yet to be at an airport where it's not allowed.
Boy,
And that's probably one of the more common uses of vehicles on the ramp area for passengers. And this is one you can tailor to meet the needs at Lawrence. But this is intended to many times to say just that there are only certain vehicles that are allowed out there. I think the airline vehicles, you probably, as I look at it, you probably want to maybe think about the, charter operators, team charters and things like that, and other charters bringing possibly teams in. But I think this is where the FBO has that control over the ramp and allowing that the aircraft to land and picking up passengers and dropping passengers off along those lines. So I think it's a good comment to make sure that you include that in there. But I think it is just that there are those types of vehicles that this is your intent. That's what you want operating on the ramp. And it's not just every vehicle has that ability to drive onto the ramp in that aircraft parking area.
okay,
Did you mention other like tenants,
yes,
so?
yeah,
Tenants need to be added.
yeah, I got it.
Guests.
Yes, need to be added. Now, that doesn't mean they don't need to be escorted.
That means that's any car.
Well, you already have to escort. Any other comments on page 31?
No, you fixed all the air traffic controls.
Yeah, we did. Okay, are we ready for page 32? Getting there.
We're getting there.
Derek has a question about 9.1. And the answer, according to Tim, is that mostly these compressed gases refer to buildings, oxygen bottles, and aircraft are covered by FAA regulations already, so.
So that's the new ad of 1.4.
Yeah. And then the only other comment I've got is 9.2.2, we probably ought to spell out the citation for whatever the city fire code is. Rather than just say fire code, or, I don't know, make it explicit, I suppose.
I could refer to it differently. I'll ask codes how,
Yeah,
but fire code is pretty well understood, so.
okay,
But in 9.2.2, I mean, this just says commercial tenants, but do we want T-hanger people to have fire extinguishers?
yes, and there's been discussion about who will pay for them.
Yeah. there you go.
And I don't know. If you look at the comment here,
Fire extinguishers?
no, it's
In
not.
planes, but.
In planes. I mean, I have one in my airplane,
Yeah.
but I don't have one in the hangar, which I should. I bet Ron has one in his hangar. Yep.
There you go.
Still have one in my hangar.
So the question is whether the city's gonna provide them or whether we as tenants. Doug?
My comment about this has to do with the type of extinguisher. So
yeah.
you know,
Point.
recently that you do not want to use a dry powder extinguisher anywhere near an aircraft because it'll destroy the airplane.
Good for maintenance costs.
Uh, Yeah.
That's why that's all the time. I'm just saying.
Okay, so the point is the
If we're gonna, it should be CO2 if it's anywhere near an aircraft.
okay,
For airline.
And I don't know what those
Yeah.
are.
Or Caitlin, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, try to get it in. Try to get it in.
No, they like.
We used to have.
Okay, so we need to specify the type of fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
Melissa,
And that may be in conflict with the fire code. I don't know.
okay, so I'm making it up, check fire code.
The fire department will understand that, and the code should already understand that there's
Yeah.
different types of
Well,
needs.
it's gotta be similar to cars and garages and stuff, I would think. Okay, any other questions on page 32?
Yeah,
Jay-
gas stuff. So as
Okay.
far as a fixed location goes, I imagine that's pretty much, I mean, you're not going to do any modifications to T hangers. So if there's a T hanger operator that say needs to have some compressed air, you want that in a fixed location? Does that need to be some sort of mount, like mounted to the ground?
I don't know, that would be a pain in the neck to do an airplane.
I have a air compressor in my hangar.
Your compressor or,
Well, that would fall under compressed gases.
mine doesn't have, it's not,
Air is, gas right there.
it's like just having. a-
Yeah.
one of
It's
those
so confusing.
Jobs that you plug in. Okay, so I guess that's the question.
And then if we, not that this is again pedantic, but if you do have extinguishers now, they fall under compressed gases, I would imagine CO2.
Yeah.
You'd also need to have mounted or fixed location.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I like
a
it.
fire code anyway. If you have a fire extinguisher, it's gotta be mounted. Sure.
Absolutely.
Unless it's on
Yep.
wheels.
Oh, mine in my bedroom.
Okay,
Get out a lot, get outside on the ground.
I guess I'm.
so the question is, if you have, Melissa, if you have a compressed,
Why is that?
a com-
I don't know.
a com-
I will have fire and codes look through this section. That way we can just move forward.
Function.
Okay, compressed gas cylinders, we need, if you got it in your hand, we need to know more about what to do.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on page 32? Speak now. I have nothing on 33, so who's, everyone's got one? Tell me. No? I'm shocked. Okay, 34, aircraft fuel storage, handling and dispensing. No one?
Next.
Well, the comment I've got on that is, this is a better place for that for minimum standards rather than the rules and regulations.
That's a question. I'll
Yeah.
write it down. 34, any other questions or problems? 35,
The ACM thing, what did we decide?
where are you?
10.2.4 on page 34. Are we deleting that airport certification manual, I think?
Since the.
Per the earlier discussion.
Yeah, I know. I
tonight.
just don't remember what acronym we were using.
Oh, I thought Tim said something about none.
Yeah, that's
It's still-
in my copy, it's being shown as deleted.
Yeah, and it's being shown as deleted in mine. It's just, I haven't accepted all of the track changes.
Oh, I
until-
see. Okay.
Until I do that. So it's
Got
like,
it. Sorry, I was
it's kind of that, track changes is messy. Sorry.
No,
Yeah.
that's fine. I was just confused that it
It
was
is.
still there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 34. Anything else? Speak now. So, Melissa?
I'm getting tired of sitting, guys. Sorry.
Well, we're almost there, Melissa. We only have three,
Sitting in the field though.
35.
No, I'm sitting with my family over here and I'm ignoring them. So
35. Sarah,
Wait a minute. Let's see.
page 35 is 10.4 fuel flowage fees.
Okay.
Numbers are at the bottom of the page.
Yes, I know. But I'm still going
Yeah,
back and
different
forth.
version on the computer.
Exactly.
Okay,
No, I guess I don't have anything there.
okay, going,
My only comment of fuel flowage fees, okay, somebody's gonna bring MoGas into the airport. Maybe they're gonna use, if they really fly a lot, 500 gallons a year. What's the flowage fee? 5 cents a gallon? You're gonna spend more money collecting the fees than you're gonna get. Is it worth it?
we will ask you if we decide to let it on the field, Ron, okay?
Because somebody at the city has to track that. That takes time and it takes money. So
Okay,
You're gonna,
on page 36, I got it wrong. I got the
Oh,
point.
wait a minute, let's see, I had something. Oh, no, it's on page, are we on 36?
I'm trying.
not yet.
Okay,
36.
on 36, 10.6.1 of any magnitude
Yes, it
is,
Eddie's a really big number.
and this is my whole overflow is an overflow valve.
we need to define a spill, what.
Yeah,
spill is.
reasonable
We're gonna
one.
do this.
Right now, it's just by spilling out.
Check with the
Call the fire.
EPA. What's the EPA regulate?
Okay. I'm gonna. Yeah, reg is, but we need to have a quantification on that. Any magnitude could be if you spill something, doing a fuel test.
It's like, oh my God, I'm gonna, therefore, maybe I'll call them up.
Yeah, there is a KDHE definition too that we can track down.
Oh,
and,
it's-
Okay,
Report
that
to you.
I would, yeah,
Let's use that.
yeah, okay,
Thanks, Tim. My staff will help with that too.
Yeah.
okay. 36,
10.6.6, so we're not gonna allow any hot fueling operations. A lot of ag operators do that.
Oh,
A lot of helicopter operators do that. So, and I think that, fueling inside a structure is problematic for the FPO. Because you've gotta calibrate fuel tanks. How are you gonna calibrate a fuel tank outside? And
okay, I'll make a note to
so,
consider agriculture and helicopter usage on that.
and
See how that
maintenance
applies.
operations.
Yes, and then you got T hanger operators that want fuel, or you don't pull your plane.
We're supposed to,
We're going back to another page, I'm sorry.
we're on 36, we're-
But
Okay.
the point's still,
the engine's running,
the point is still important.
okay, I've got it down, and I think that they're gonna have to look at some section for that. Anything else on that?
Yeah.
Well, it's the 5 gallons thing again,
Where's that? Well,
10.6.7.
okay,
10.6.7, why does it say greater than 5 gallons?
Yeah.
What says?
The first sentence says you can't do it.
No, it's, you need to have a pump when it's greater than 5.
Greater 5 gallons, you need pump. Under 5 gallons, you can pour it out.
Yeah, it's just so you
So-
can spill.
so Tim's question is this a common practice at the airport?
It
anyway?
has been,
Yeah,
Has it?
I did a lot of it.
yeah, I would say that.
Yeah.
Most airplanes.
More than 5 gallons?
Light sport airplanes, like my airplane, I usually only carry 2-gallon containers, because my airplane only uses 4 gallon an hour. So I only use 2-gallon containers, so that puts me under the 5 gallon.
Yes.
Yeah,
But it says pouring or gravity transfer is prohibited.
Greater than.
no, greater than 5 gallons.
Greater than,
No.
it does.
It does not say that.
I'm not sure.
It says if you have more than 5 gallons, you have to use.
Oh, because the sentence terminates.
You're right.
sentence is
The
contradictory.
way it's written.
Good point, Doug.
The way it's written, the first sentence doesn't say greater than 5 gallons.
Oh. So,
Okay, so we need to add,
Need to reword that.
Yeah, put a comma.
put a comma there.
Yeah.
Put a comma.
Yeah.
The comma would fix it, yes.
I, for a period of about 2 years, I refueled my 172 with MoGas, 5 gallon cans.
okay, anything else in this section? Ron?
No.
Okay, page 37. I have no notes.
The fueling within 50 feet of a hangar is problematic for T
Everybody,
hangars, for everybody.
Yeah, it's too
we
far.
can barely fill them out that far.
Exactly.
It's problematic for the west side, it's problematic for
I think
KU.
Tim has a comment on that.
That's
It's
10.7.2
10.1 and 2.
and 2.
Probably gets down to, I think, looking at your distances and what you have as far as how you can, with the space available, proximity to your buildings. But I think your real need here is to consult with your fire marshal and make sure, and you need to all think about some insurance risk management situations too. Would recommend, there's insurance coverages on the Lawrence, the city of Lawrence owned buildings out there. And I would recommend looking at, there's ways to get that advice also from on the insurance. So if something does happen, you just want to check these bases and do these, go through the checklist there, so that when you decide on what that distance is going to be in the rules and regs, that it complies, it's practical within the distances that you have available, the spacing you have available at the airport. Fire marshal agrees with it. And then from a risk management standpoint, you're not putting any casualty insurance issues, any of your casualty insurance at risk.
Okay, I've got notes on that, and I bet Melissa does too.
Yeah.
Okay,
On the west side of the airport, we've got a problem with fueling where the water drains off the ramp are. Especially in front of the Great Plains hangar, and we've got this big water drain right in front of there, so we can't fuel the airplane. We gotta move the airplane halfway across the ramp, across the, and KU's got the same problem. There's a storm sewer drain.
what's your proposal?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
Okay, I suggest you talk to Melissa
Yeah.
and Ms. Noki.
we just have to figure out where we gonna be able to fuel the
Okay.
airplane, because right now, the way this is written, we can't fuel the airplane there.
Okay, anything else on page 37, which ends in section 10.9?
10.8. Off premises fueling, so, because Lloyd regularly, with FBO, regularly comes over to the west side of the airport to fuel Lifestar, my airplane, and KU's airplanes.
So, was it?
Is that included in the operator's leased premises? I don't know the answer to that. My question is, we gotta make sure that that is included in the operator's lease premises, otherwise he can't fuel there.
That's not so. It says unless the operator's lease agreement or fueling permit expressly permits such.
Right, so
So-
we just gotta check to make sure.
You just
that it
need to make
permits
sure
that.
that.
That's the point I was making.
Okay. All right, 37 going, 38,
Yeah, the refueling vehicles
got the 50-foot thing again.
and the 10 feet separation. I mean, the fuel trucks park right next to each other. I don't personally see that as a problem right now. But it says refueling vehicles shall be parked provides minimum of 10 feet of separation between vehicles. So Lloyd would have to change his operations of where they park the fuel trucks.
Yeah, by what?
And that was noted also by the FAA as being an issue when they did their inspection, so
They didn't like
that's another
that?
one. All this has to be followed up with the fire marshal.
Huh.
Okay. Other comments on page 38?
The minimum of 20 feet from a stormwater inlet. I just didn't know if that was an issue or not.
Yes, it is. And I'm sure it's addressed in our SWIP, which we just got back, so,
Yeah, which you're gonna share with us, yeah.
correct.
Okay,
10.10, I think, is Lloyd's, FBO's problem again, maintenance of refueling vehicles.
Right.
Lloyd, do you have anything to say about that?
Maintenance and, yeah, there'd be, in the winter operations, there'd be times we may have to bring it in the winter. Summer operations, we can work on our truck outside.
Well, but I think that's a legitimate aviation activity, so. Like,
No, I think that's
Does-
also approved. by
Tim, do you
airport.
agree with that? The maintenance on a fuel.
Maintenance
vehicle,
approved
yeah.
by the gentleman.
Okay, other?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh my God.
thank
we
you
done?
very much. I'd like a motion to adjourn, please.
Seconded.
Thank you, everyone.
All opposed?
But
No. Motion carries, we are adjourned.
Hey,